guys, can you hear me now? God damn it. Oh my god. I'm so stupid. I had Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Are we in action? Is everything working? Holy shit, you guys. I Okay. All right. I've been talking to myself like no shit like the last 25 minutes. I was doing so good. You guys have no idea. I was doing such a good stream all by myself. Yeah, I had the output muted. I was monitoring with output muted. Okay. Now, everyone, please Jesus Christ. All right. Well, that explains a lot of things actually. Um okay, let's start over. How is the sound? There should be some sound coming from the little like background, the pumpkins and shit. There's like fire included with that sound. Is that too loud? Is that like drowning me out? Or how's the shut up, Matt? Nobody asked you, and I can talk to him like that. You guys don't worry. He's my mod, so it's totally fine. You only hear my voice. Okay, let me try. Okay, I just turned up. I just saw that somebody said the fire was really loud, and I don't want it to be too loud. Too loud. Is that better? You can only hear me, no background. Okay, I'm turning it up a little bit more. Um, damn, this is tricky. This is playing games with me. How about now? Okay, that's working, and the volume's okay. The balance is good. Yeah, free Matt's 2025. Yeah, he's really suffering, you guys. Very quiet and delayed echo of my voice. Well, that's not good. I don't know how to fix delays. Let's see. I'm muting everything else. You guys are all so good and patient, and I really appreciate this. This is, of course, how this first one is going. Okay, my voice is on a delay in the background. Oh, I see. Okay, how about now? No more delay? Are we good? Yes. Whew, that was that was harrowing, I'm not gonna lie. Yay, fire's cozy, it all sounds good. Hooray! Okay. Well, now I'm gonna start over my whole fucking spiel that I had going because uh because I was talking to myself for a while, and I was like seeing more and more people come in, and I was like, hey guys, like jump in the chat if you feel like it, and nobody was jumping in the chat, and like that's fine, it's fine. I was prepared to just talk to an empty room for however many hours, but um I'm glad you guys are here, and I'm glad you can hear me now, because can you imagine if I just started reading and nobody could hear me? Okay. Great. Now that we're all here and on the same page, I'm going to be reading 3 stories for you guys. Or I have 3 stories picked. So if anybody has any requests, knock yourselves out. If there's anything that I recognize and might be a little bit familiar with, I might choose something out of the chat. But my 3 stories are The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson, and then, let's see. You didn't know there were going to be stories? What did you think was going to happen tonight exactly? Because, I mean, I guess, you know what? That made me sound like an asshole. You're totally valid for that. I could definitely just sit here and talk to myself, as evidenced by the fact that I was sitting here and talking to myself. But yes, I am going to be reading a couple of spooky stories. Oh yes, Australia things. Sunday Scaries at 9 a.m. Perfect. Nothing, no better way to start out a Monday morning, I always say. No, okay, you have no knowledge of anything spooky because you're a scaredy cat. Ditto. I am also a huge scaredy cat, and when I was talking to myself, I was telling you guys all about how this is a sign of how much I like you guys because I am so. Hi, Summer. Thanks for popping in on your work break. It's good to see you. Bro, I cannot do Edgar Allan Poe. I was reading through some of his shit. First of all, even his shortest stories are like kind of longer and like really dark with like animal abuse and like murdering of wives and shit like that. So he's great. He's really great. I just didn't want to like start out with something so dark. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, so those are the two. So yeah, Monkey's Paw, Yellow Wallpaper. And then a more modern story, which is called How to Host a Haunted House Murder Mystery Party. I just wanted to kind of shake up when these were like published because Monkey's Paw and Yellow Wallpaper are both kind of like old timey. Yes, I did read The Black Cat, and I was like, oh, maybe not that one. That's Edgar is a crazy motherfucker, and you know what? I don't really like. I could fuck with it personally, but putting that out to all of you guys, I don't know. It's just a little sketchy, you know. Sorry for giving you a heart attack. What was the beach one from Edgar Allan Poe? I'm honestly not super familiar with a lot of his stuff. I do like The Cask of Amontillado and The Telltale Heart, but I think both of those, I was checking on those and they're like a little bit longer. Twitter 2-sentence horror stories if it all gets too scary. You know what? I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind because, well, I don't know. I assume that those are like really dumb. Probably most of them are dumb because I feel like it's hard to tell a horror story in 2 sentences or less. Let's see. No, I'm like so not a horror person at all. I'm really just doing this because you guys wanted me to, and I'm saying that loosely. People on Tumblr wanted me to, and I'm a really nice guy, so I agreed, even though I've been like a little nervous, and I did schedule this for the early afternoon so that I would have some time after this to decompress before going to bed so I don't have nightmares all night. But it should be fine. Let's see. What am I hating on? Like literally what am I hating on? I'm just afraid of things. Is that so wrong? Okay, well not everybody here is from Tumblr, so I'm trying to make this inclusive, you know what I mean? I want everybody to feel like they belong because they do. And that's what ButchCody's all about. Hi. Glue I did almost just call you glue stick. I feel like you probably have that spelled that way for that reason. Glute sick. Honestly, watching Scooby-Doo after scary movies to convince yourself that everything's a lie, that's based, actually. That's like a really smart thing, and I'll probably do that if Sloane's tender, loving embrace is not sufficient to scare away the nightmares. Yeah, see, now everybody's from Reddit. Or not everybody's from Tumblr. We've got some Reddit people in here. Got some Discord people. I don't know where the rest of you guys are from. What is Spider Boil? You are so brave for being here when it's 11 o'clock in the middle of the night for you right now. Like, I don't know what you're doing here, but you know what? Good job. Yay, Reddit gang, Reddit gang. And Discord. We're all here. Together, one family. There's a Discord for my site members. It's not a public Discord because I don't have enough time to moderate a public Discord. So, sorry. Hi, Melissa. Nice. Yes, it is perfect timing. Hopefully it's okay for you to be listening to scary stories right before you get in bed. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready? Should we just get going? I'm gonna pick one. Oh, let's see. Hello, BB Milk. Did I say that right? I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the yellow wallpaper first. It's kind of a tricky one. I'll do my best to kind of go back and forth between like the chat and the reading, just if anybody's got any commentary, but no guarantees because this PDF that I'm reading off of is like original scans of the book, I think. And so it's like in these, it's a really weird format. It's like two side-by-side columns. Anyways, I could very easily lose my place. Okay, so here we go. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson. It is very seldom that mere ordinary people like John and myself secure ancestral halls for the summer. A colonial mansion, a hereditary estate, I would say a haunted house and reach for the height of romantic felicity, but that would be asking too much of fate. Still, I will proudly declare that there is something queer about it. Else why should it be let so cheaply, and why have stood so long untenanted? John laughs at me, of course, but one expects that in marriage. John is practical in the extreme. He has no patience with faith, an intense horror of superstition, and he scoffs openly at any talk of things not to be felt and seen and put down in figures. John is a physician, and perhaps, I would not say it to a living soul, of course, but this is a dead paper and a great relief to my mind, perhaps that is one reason I do not get well faster. You see, he does not believe I am sick. And what can one do? If a physician of high standing and one's own husband assures friends and relatives that there is really nothing the matter with one but temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency, what is one to do? My brother is also a physician and also of high standing, and he says the same thing. So I take phosphates or phosphites, whatever it is, and tonics and journeys and air and exercise, and am absolutely forbidden to work until I am well again. Personally, I disagree with their ideas. Personally, I believe that congenial work with excitement and change would do me good. But what is one to do? I did write for a while in spite of them, but it does exhaust me a good deal, having to be so sly about it or else meet with heavy opposition. I sometimes fancy that in my condition, if I had less opposition and more society and stimulus. But John says the very worst thing I can do is to think about my condition, and I confess it always makes me feel bad. So I will let it alone and talk about the house, the most beautiful place. It is quite alone, standing well back from the road, quite 3 miles from the village. It makes me think of English places that you read about, for there are hedges and walls and gates that lock, and lots of separate little houses for the gardeners and people. There is a delicious garden. I never saw such a garden, large and shady, full of box-bordered paths and lined with long, grape-covered arbors with seats under them. There were greenhouses, too, but they are all broken now. There was some legal trouble, I believe, something about the heirs and co-heirs. Anyhow, this place has been empty for years. That spoils my ghostliness, I am afraid, but I don't care. There is something strange about the house. I can feel it. I even said so to John one moonlit evening, and he said that what I felt was draught, and shut the window. Oh wait, was a draft, and shut the window. They spell it weird. I get unreasonably angry with John sometimes. I'm sure I never used to be so sensitive. I think it is due to this nervous condition. But John says if I feel so, I shall neglect proper self-control. So I take pains to control myself, before him, at least, and that makes me very tired. I don't like our room a bit. I wanted one downstairs that opened on the piazza and had roses all over the window, and such pretty old-fashioned chintz hangings. But John would not hear of it. He said there was only one window and not room for 2 beds, and no near room for him if he took another. He is very careful and loving, and hardly lets me stir without special direction. I have a scheduled prescription for each hour in the day. He takes all care from me, and so I feel basely ungrateful not to value it more. He said we came here solely on my account, that I was to have the perfect rest and all the air I could get. Your exercise depends on your strength, my dear, said he, and your food somewhat on your appetite, but air you can absorb all the time. So we took the nursery at the top of the house. It is a big, airy room, the whole floor nearly, with windows that look all ways, and air and sunshine galore. It was a nursery at first, then playroom, then gymnasium, I should judge, for the windows are barred for little children, and there are rings and things in the walls. The paint and paper look as if a boys' school had used it. It is stripped off, the paper, in great patches all around the head of my bed, about as far as I can reach, and in a great place on the other side of the room low down. I never saw a worse paper in my life. One of those sprawling, flamboyant patterns committing every artistic sin. It is dull enough to confuse the eye in following, pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study, and when you follow the lame, uncertain curves for a little distance, they suddenly commit suicide, plunge off at outrageous angles, destroy themselves in unheard-of contradictions. The color is repellent, almost revolting, a smoldering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by the slow-turning sunlight. It is a dull, yet lurid orange in some places, a sickly sulfur tint in others. No wonder the children hated it. I should hate it myself if I had to live in this room long. There comes John, and I must put this away. He hates me have to write a word. Okay, pausing so I can get some water. Hello, everybody. Anybody who has joined. Nothing is more scary than real oppression. So true. She is very pressed about the wallpaper. Just wait. Just wait. It's called the yellow wallpaper for a reason. All right. We have been here 2 weeks, and I haven't felt like writing before since that first day. I am sitting by the window now, up in this atrocious nursery, and there is nothing to hinder my writing as much as I please, save lack of strength. John is away all day, and even some nights when his cases are serious. I am glad my case is not serious, but these nervous troubles are dreadfully depressing. John does not know how much I really suffer. He knows there is no reason to suffer, and that satisfies him. Of course it is only nervousness. It does weigh on me so not to do my duty in any way. I mean to be such a help to John, such a real rest and comfort, and here I am, a comparative burden already. Nobody would believe what an effort it is to do what little I am able, to dress and entertain and order things. It is fortunate Mary is so good with the baby. Such a dear baby. And yet I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous. I suppose John never was nervous in his life. He laughs at me so about this wallpaper. At first he meant to repaper the room, but afterwards he said that I was letting it get the better of me, and that nothing was worse for a nervous patient than to give way to such fancies. He said that after the wallpaper was changed, it would be the heavy bedstead, and then the barred windows, and then the gate at the head of the stairs, and so on. You know the place is doing you good, he said, and really, dear, I don't care to renovate the house just for a 3 months rental. Then do let us go downstairs, I said. There are such pretty rooms there. And then he took me in his arms and called me a blessed little goose and said he would go down cellar if I wished and have it whitewashed into the bargain. But he is right enough about the beds and windows and things. It is an airy and comfortable room, as any one need wish, and of course I would not be so silly as to make him uncomfortable just for a whim. I'm really getting quite fond of the big room, all but that horrid wallpaper. Out of one window I can see the garden, those mysterious, deep-shaded arbors, those riotous, old-fashioned flowers and bushes and gnarly trees. Out of another I get a lovely view of the bay and a little private wharf belonging to the estate. There is a beautiful shaded lane that runs down there from the house. I always fancy I see people walking in these numerous paths and arbors, but John has cautioned me not to give way to fancy in the least. He says that with my imaginative power and habit of story-making, a nervous weakness like mine is sure to lead to all manner of excited fancies, and that I ought to use my will and good sense to check the tendency. So I try. I think sometimes that if I were only well enough to write a little, it would relieve the press of ideas and rest me. But I find I get pretty tired when I try. It is so discouraging not to have any advice and companionship about my work. When I get really well, John says he will ask Cousin Henry and Julia down for a long visit. But he says he would as soon put fireworks in my pillowcase as to let me have those stimulating people about now. I wish I could get well faster. But I must not think about that. This paper looks to me as if it knew what a vicious influence it had. There is a recurrent spot where the pattern lolls like a broken neck, and two bulbous eyes stare at you upside down. I get positively angry with the impertinence of it and the everlastingness. Up and down and sideways they crawl, and those absurd, unblinking eyes are everywhere. There is one place where two breaths didn't match, and the eyes go all up and down the line, one a little higher than the other. I never saw so much expression in an inanimate thing before, and we all know how much expression they have. I used to lie awake as a child and get more entertainment and terror out of blank walls and plain furniture than most children could find in a toy store. I remember what a kindly wink the knobs of our big old bureau used to have, and there was one chair that always seemed like a strong friend. I used to feel that if any of the other things looked too fierce, I could always hop into that chair and be safe. The furniture in this room is no worse than inharmonious, however, for we had to bring it all from downstairs. I suppose when this was used as a playroom, they had to take the nursery things out, and no wonder. I never saw such ravages as the children have made here. The wallpaper, as I said before, is torn off in spots, and it sticketh closer than a brother. They must have had perseverance as well as hatred. Then the floor is scratched and gouged and splintered, and the plaster itself is dug out here and there, and this great heavy bed, which is all we found in the room, looks as if it has been through the wars. But I don't mind it a bit. Only the paper. There comes John's sister. Such a dear girl she is, and so careful of me. I must not let her find me writing. She is a perfect and enthusiastic housekeeper, and hopes for no better profession. I verily believe she thinks that it is the writing which makes me sick. But I can write when she is out, and see her a long way off from these windows. There is one that commands the road, a lovely shaded winding road, and one that looks off over the country, a lovely country too, full of great elms and velvet meadows. This wallpaper has a kind of sub-pattern in a different shade, a particularly irritating one, for you only see it in certain lights, and not clearly then. But in the places where it isn't faded, and where the sun is just so, I can see a strange, provoking, formless sort of figure that seems to skulk about behind that silly and conspicuous front design. Oh, there's Sister on the stairs. Let's see. Water break. Alrighty. Yeah, jump in the chat so you don't get too creeped out. Well, the 4th of July is over. The people are all gone, and I am tired out. John thought it might do me good to see a little company, so we just had Mother and Nellie and the children down for a week. Of course, I didn't do a thing. Jenny sees to everything now, but it tires me all the same. John says if I don't pick up faster, he shall send me to Wire Mitchell in the fall, but I don't want to go there at all. I had a friend who was in his hands once, and she said he is just like John and my brother, only more so. Besides, it is such an undertaking to go so far. I don't feel as if it was worthwhile to turn my hand over for anything, and I'm getting dreadfully fretful and querulous. I cry at nothing, and cry most of the time. Of course I don't when John is here, or anybody else, but when I am alone. And I am alone a good deal just now. John is kept in town very often by serious cases, and Jenny is good and lets me alone when I want her to. So I walk a little in the garden, or go down that lovely lane, sit on the porch under the roses, and lie down up here a good deal. I'm getting really fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper. Perhaps because of the wallpaper. It dwells in my mind so. I lie here on this great immovable bed, it is nailed down, I believe, and follow that pattern about by the hour. It is as good as gymnastics, I assure you. I start, we'll say, at the bottom, down in the corner over there where it has not been touched, and I determine for the 1000th time that I will follow that pointless pattern to some sort of a conclusion. I know a little of the principle of design, and I know this thing was not arranged on any laws of radiation or alternation or repetition or symmetry or anything else that I have ever heard of. It is repeated, of course, by the breaths, but not otherwise. Looked at in one way, each breath stands alone, the bloated curves and flourishes, a kind of debased Romanesque with delirium tremens, go waddling up and down in isolated columns of fatuity. But, on the other hand, they connect diagonally, and the sprawling outlines run off in great slanting waves of optic horror, like a lot of wallowing seaweeds in full chase. The whole thing goes horizontally, too, at least it seems so, and I exhaust myself in trying to distinguish the order of its going in that direction. They have used a horizontal breadth for a frieze, and that that adds wonderfully to the confusion. There is one end of the room where it is almost intact, and there, when the cross lights fade and low sun shines directly upon it, I can almost fancy radiation after all. The interminable grotesque seems to form around a common center and rush off in headlong plunges of equal distraction. It makes me tired to follow it. I will take a nap, I guess. I don't know why I should write this. I don't want to. I don't feel able. And I know John would think it absurd, but I must say what I feel and think in some way. It is such a relief. But the effort is getting to be greater than the relief. Half the time now I am awfully lazy and lay down ever so much. John says I mustn't lose my strength and has me take cod liver oil and lots of tonics and things, to say nothing of ale and wine and rare meat. Dear John. He loves me very dearly and hates to have me sick. I tried to have a real, earnest, reasonable talk with him the other day and tell him how I wish he would let me go and make a visit to Cousin Henry and Julia. But he said I wasn't able to go, nor able to stand it after I got there, and I did not make out a very good case for myself, for I was crying before I had finished. It is getting to be a great effort for me to think straight, just this nervous weakness, I suppose. And dear John gathered me up in his arms and just carried me upstairs and laid me on the bed and sat by me and read to me till it tired my head. He said I was his darling and his comfort and all he had, and that I must take care of myself for his sake and keep well. He says that no one but myself can help me out of it, that I must use my will and self-control and not let any silly fancies run away with me. There's one comfort, the baby is well and happy, and does not have to occupy this nursery with the horrid wallpaper. If we had not used it, that blessed child would have. What a fortunate escape! Why, I wouldn't have a child of mine, an impressionable little thing, live in such a room for worlds. I never thought of it before, but it is lucky that John kept me here after all. I can stand it so much easier than a baby, you see. Of course, I never mention it to them anymore. I am too wise, but I keep watch of it all the same. There are things in that paper that nobody knows but me, or ever will. Behind that outside pattern, the dim shapes get clearer every day. It is always the same shape, only very numerous. And it is in that pattern. I don't like it a bit. I wonder, I begin to think, I wish John would take me away from here. Water break. It is so hard to talk with John about my case because he is so wise and because he loves me so. But I tried it last night. It was moonlight. The moon shines in all around just as the sun does. I hate to see it sometimes. It creeps so slowly and always comes in by one window or another. John was asleep, and I hated to waken him, so I kept still and watched the moonlight on that undulating wallpaper till I felt creepy. The faint figure behind seemed to shake the pattern, just as if she wanted to get out. I got up softly and went to feel and see if the paper did move, and when I came back, John was awake. "What is it, little girl?" he said. "Don't go walking about like that. You'll get cold." I thought it was a good time to talk, so I told him that I really was not gaining here, and that I wished he would take me away. "Why, darling," said he, "our lease will be up in 3 weeks, and I can't see how to leave before. The repairs are not done at home, and I cannot possibly leave town just now. Of course, if you were in any danger, I could and would, but really you are better, dear, whether you can see it or not. I am a doctor, dear, and I know. You are gaining flesh and color, and your appetite is better. I really feel so much easier about you." "I don't weigh a bit more," said I, "nor as much, and my appetite may be better in the evening when you are here, but it is worse in the morning when you are away." "Bless her little heart," said he with a big hug. "She shall be as sick as she pleases. But now let's improve the shining hours by going to sleep and talk about it in the morning." "And you won't go away?" I asked gloomily. "Why, how can I, dear? It is only 3 weeks more, and then we will take a nice little trip of a few days while Jenny is getting the house ready. Really, dear, you are better." "Better in body, perhaps," I began, and stopped short. For he sat up straight and looked at me with such a stern, reproachful look that I could not say another word. "My darling," said he, "I beg of you, for my sake and for our child's sake, as well as for your own, that you will never for one instant let that idea enter your mind. There is nothing so dangerous, so fascinating to a temperament like yours. It is a false and foolish fancy. Can you not trust me as a physician when I tell you so?" So of course I said no more on that score, and we went to sleep before long. He thought I was asleep first, but I wasn't, and lay there for hours trying to decide whether that front pattern and the back pattern really did move together or separately. On a pattern like this, by daylight, there is a lack of sequence, a defiance of law that is a constant irritant to a normal mind. The color is hideous enough, and unreliable enough, and infuriating enough, but the pattern is torturing. You think you have mastered it, but just as you get well underway in following, it turns a back somersault, and there you are. It slaps you in the face, knocks you down, and tramples upon you. It is like a bad dream. The outside pattern is a florid arabesque, reminding one of a fungus. If you can imagine a toadstool in joints, and an interminable string of toadstools budding and sprouting in endless convolutions, why, that is something like it. That is sometimes. There is one marked peculiarity about this paper, a thing nobody seems to notice but myself, and that is that it changes as the light changes. When the sun shoots in through the east window, I always watch for that first long, straight ray. It changes so quickly that I can never quite believe it. That is why I watch it always. By moonlight, the moon shines in all night when there is a moon. I wouldn't know it was the same paper. At night, in any kind of light, in twilight, candlelight, lamplight, the worst of all by moonlight, it becomes bars. The outside pattern, I mean, and the woman behind it is as plain as can be. I didn't realize for a long time what the thing was that showed behind, that dim sub-pattern, but now I am quite sure it is a woman. By daylight she is subdued, quiet. I fancy it is the pattern that keeps her so still. It is so puzzling. It keeps me quiet by the hour. I lie down ever so much now. John says it is good for me, and to sleep all I can. Indeed, he started the habit by making me lie down for an hour after each meal. It is a very bad habit, I am convinced, for you see I don't sleep. And that cultivates deceit, for I don't tell them that I'm awake, oh no. The fact is that I'm getting a little afraid of John. He seems very queer sometimes, and even Jenny has an inexplicable look. It strikes me occasionally, just as a scientific hypothesis, that perhaps it is the paper. I have watched John when he did not know I was looking, and come into the room suddenly on the most innocent excuses, and I've caught him several times looking at the paper, and Jenny too. I caught Jenny with her hand on it once. She didn't know I was in the room, and when I asked her in a very quiet voice, with the most restrained manner possible, what she was doing with the paper, she turned around as if she had been caught stealing, and looked quite angry, asked me why I should frighten her so. Then she said that the paper stained everything it touched, that she had found yellow smooches on all my clothes and John's, and she wished we would be more careful. Did not that sound innocent? But I know she was studying that pattern, and I am determined that nobody shall find it out but myself. Life is very much more exciting now than it used to be. You see, I have something more to expect, to look forward to watch. I really do eat better and am more quiet than I was. John is so pleased to see me improve. He laughed a little the other day and said I seemed to be flourishing in spite of my wallpaper. I turned it off with a laugh. I had no intention of telling him it was because of the wallpaper. He would make fun of me. He might even want to take me away. I don't want to leave now until I have found it out. There is a week more, and I think that will be enough. I am feeling ever so much better. I don't sleep much at night, for it is so interesting to watch developments, but I sleep a good deal in the daytime. In the daytime, it is tiresome and perplexing. There are always new shoots on the fungus, and new shades of yellow all over it. I cannot keep count of them, though I have tried conscientiously. It is the strangest yellow, that wallpaper. It makes me think of all the yellow things I ever saw. Not beautiful ones like buttercups, but old, foul, bad yellow things. There is something else about that paper, the smell. I noticed it the moment we came into the room, but with so much air and sun, it was not bad. Now we have had a week of fog and rain, and whether the windows are open or not, the smell is here. It creeps all over the house. I find it hovering in the dining room, skulking in the parlor, hiding in the hall, lying in wait for me on the stairs. It gets into my hair. Even when I go to ride, if I turn my head suddenly and surprise it, there is that smell. Such a peculiar odor, too. I have spent hours in trying to analyze it, to find what it smelled like. It is not bad, at first, and very gentle, but quite the subtlest, most enduring odor I have ever met. In this damp weather, it is awful. I wake up in the night and find it hanging over me. It used to disturb me at first. I thought seriously of burning the house to reach the smell. But now I am used to it. The only thing I can think of is that think that it is like is the color of the paper, a yellow smell. There's a very funny mark on this wall, low down, near the mopboard, a streak that runs around the room. It goes behind every piece of furniture except the bed, a long, straight, even smooch, as if it had been rubbed over and over. I wonder how it was done, and who did it, and what they did it for. Round and round and round, round and round and round. It makes me dizzy. I really have discovered something at last. Through watching so much at night, when it changes so, I have finally found out. The front pattern does move, and no wonder the woman behind shakes it. Sometimes I think there are a great many women behind, and sometimes only one, and she crawls around fast, and her crawling shakes it all over. Then, in the very bright spots, she keeps still, and in the very shady spots, she just takes hold of the bars and shakes them hard. And she is all the time trying to climb through, but nobody could climb through that pattern. It strangles so. I think that is why it has got so many heads. They get through, and then the pattern strangles them off and turns them upside down and makes their eyes white. If those heads were covered or taken off, it would not be half so bad. I think that woman gets out in the daytime, and I'll tell you why, privately. I've seen her. I can see her out of every one of my windows. It is the same woman, I know, for she is always creeping, and most women do not creep by daylight. I see her in that long, shaded lane, creeping up and down. I see her in those dark grape arbors, creeping all around the garden. I see her on that long road under the trees, creeping along, and when a carriage comes, she hides under the blackberry vines. I don't blame her a bit. It must be very humiliating to be caught creeping by daylight. I always lock the door when I creep by daylight. I can't do it at night, for I know John would suspect something at once. And John is so queer now that I don't want to irritate him. I wish he would take another room. Besides, I don't want anybody to get that woman out at night but myself. I often wonder if I could see her out of all windows at once. But turn as fast as I can only see out of one at a time. And though I always see her, she may be able to creep faster than I can turn. I have watched her sometimes away off in the open country, creeping as fast as a cloud shadow in a high wind. If only that top pattern could be gotten off from the under one. I mean to try it, little by little. I have found out another funny thing, but I shan't tell it this time. It does not do to trust people too much. There are only 2 more days to get this paper off, and I believe John is beginning to notice, and I don't like the look in his eyes. And I heard him ask Jenny a lot of professional questions about me. She had a very good report to give. She said I slept a good deal in the daytime. John knows I don't sleep very well at night, for all I'm so quiet. He asked me all sorts of questions, too, and pretended to be very loving and kind, as if I couldn't see through him. Still, I don't wonder he acts so, sleeping under this paper for 3 months. It only interests me, but I feel sure John and Jenny are secretly affected by it. Hurrah! This is the last day, but it is enough. John is to stay in town overnight and won't be out until this evening. Jenny wanted to sleep with me, the sly thing, but I told her I should undoubtedly rest better for a night all alone. That was clever, for really I wasn't alone a bit. As soon as it was moonlight and that poor thing began to crawl and shake the pattern, I got up and ran to help her. I pulled and she shook, I shook and she pulled, and before morning we had peeled off yards of that paper, a strip about as high as my head and half around the room. And then when the sun came and that awful pattern began to laugh at me, I declared I would finish it today. We go away tomorrow, and they're moving all my furniture down again to leave things as they were before. Jenny looked at the wall in amazement, but I told her merrily that I did it out of pure spite at the vicious thing. She laughed and said she wouldn't mind doing it herself, but I must not get tired. How she betrayed herself that time. But I am here, and no person alive touches this paper but me. Not alive. She tried to get me out of the room. It was too patent, but I said it was so quiet and empty and clean now that I believed I would lie down again and sleep all I could, and not to wake me even for dinner. I would call when I woke. So now she is gone, and the servants are gone, and the things are gone, and there's nothing left but that great bedstead nailed down with the canvas mattress we found on it. We shall sleep downstairs tonight, and take the boat home tomorrow. I quite enjoy the room now that it is bare again. How those children did tear about here. This bedstead is fairly gnawed, but I must get to work. I have locked the door and thrown the key down into the front path. I don't want to go out, and I don't want to have anybody come in till John comes. I want to astonish him. I've got a rope up here that even Jenny did not find. If that woman does get out and tries to get away, I can tie her. But I forgot I cannot reach far without anything to stand on. This bed will not move. I tried to lift and push it until I was lame, and then I got so angry I bit off a little piece at one corner, but it hurt my teeth. Then I peeled off all the paper I could reach standing on the floor. It sticks horribly, and the pattern just enjoys it. All those strangled heads and bulbous eyes and waddling fungus growths just shriek with derision. I am getting angry enough to do something desperate. To jump out of the window would be admirable exercise, but the bars are too strong to even try. Besides, I wouldn't do it. Of course not. I know well enough that a step like that is improper and might be misconstrued. I don't like to look out of the windows even. There are so many of those creeping women, and they creep so fast. I wonder if they all come out of that wallpaper as I did. But I am securely fastened now by my well-hidden rope. You don't get me out in the road there. I suppose I shall have to get back behind the pattern when it comes night, and that is hard. It is so pleasant to be out in this great room and creep about as I please. I don't want to go outside. I won't, even if Jenny asks me to. For outside you have to creep on the ground, and everything is green instead of yellow. But here I can creep smoothly on the floor, and my shoulder just fits in that long smooch around the wall, so I cannot lose my way. Why, there's John at the door. It is no use, young man, you can't open it. How he does call and pound. Now he's crying for an axe. It would be a shame to break down that beautiful door. John, dear, said I in the gentlest voice, the key is down by the front steps, under a plantain leaf. That silenced him for a few moments. Then he said, very quietly indeed, open the door, my darling. I can't, said I. The key is down by the front door, under a plantain leaf. And then I said it again, several times, very gently and slowly, and said it so often that he had to go and see, and he got it, of course, and came in. He stopped short by the door. What is the matter? He cried. For God's sake, what are you doing? I kept on creeping just the same, but I looked at him over my shoulder. I've got out at last, said I, in spite of you and Jane, and I've pulled off most of the papers, so now you can't put me back. Now why should that man have fainted? But he did, and right across my path by the wall, so that I had to creep over him every time. The end. That was spooky. She's the woman in the wallpaper. She is indeed. Yeah, apparently that author was a suffragette or a women's rights activist of her time. So that was a commentary on the state of women and their husbands. So there's no toxic Yuri. The women in the wallpaper do not bang. But basically, I mean, it's kind of an open-ended ending, but you know, it's like an allegory around being oppressed by your husband and going insane for that, essentially. It did, you know what? It's so true. It did seem like a happy, healthy marriage. Very much, life goals for sure. I'm all about that. Okay. All right, I'm going to drink a little bit of tea. Honestly, sitting with your back to the wall is a good call. I kind of have a feeling that I'm going to be like not enjoying it if I have to walk around my house at night for a few days at minimum after this. I am having a lemon zinger is what the packet says. It's part of a little medley pack of tea that we have. And I'm just like getting over a cold and everything, so I just wanted to have this for a throat soothing thing. Sorry that there was no body in the wall. That was more of like a psychological thing, because I'm like, we could read one about a body in a wall. There's a couple of those. Let me, because I looked through a lot of scary stories, Doomed horror Yuri. I don't know of any doomed horror Yuri. If you guys have Rex, let me know. Does it taste it, you know, it does taste a little yellow, but it tastes lemon yellow. It doesn't taste fungus yellow, so we'll be good. The one about, you guys want to read the one about the heartbeat? Hang on a second. I need to check how long it is. I mean, we've got time, but I'm curious. Honestly, it's like really fun to read this kind of stuff. It's like a little tricky because like the way that the sentences are structured and like some of the words they use are not common words anymore, but you get into kind of like a rhythm and it's really fun. Okay, let's see. The Telltale Heart is pretty freaky because it's like told from the perspective of like a madman. If that's the only one that can creep you out, I don't know. Maybe we need to go all in, get some Poe up in this bitch. The only tricky part is that these last, like the three that I picked, I read in advance. I haven't read this one in advance. You know what? I could do this. Do you guys want me to read the Telltale Heart? Am I streaming anywhere else? I'm streaming on Twitch. It's just YouTube and Twitch. You were having heart palpitations. Okay, Gabby, you gotta take care of yourself first and foremost. Okay, no heart attacks in the chat, please. I think I do want to do the Telltale Heart. Poe is so quintessentially horror. I need to get this up on my screen. Let's see. Okay. Please stand by. Oh my god, I did not even. Oh my god, you guys. I'm doing such a bad job. Hold on a second. Wait, I have. This is what it was supposed to look like. This is what the stream screen was supposed to look like. Sunday Scaries with ButchCody, not stream starting. Please wait. Matt, how come you only chime in? Oh, I guess you said something about Telltale Heart, but you only chime in to laugh at me. It's so mean. Did it change? Did the screen change? Because it doesn't look like it changed on my side. It's supposed to say Sunday Scaries with ButchCody. Does it say that yet, or does it still say stream starting? Okay, it did. Great. Then the fucking restream is showing me the wrong screen. Whatever. It's not my fault, everyone. All right. Please hold. I've been drinking a lot of liquids. I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Okay, I've returned. No riots, please. No hullabaloo. Um, you know what, Melissa? I am not surprised that that I'm about to make you fall asleep because I do a lot of audios that are not meant for sleeping, and people fall asleep to them anyway. So, you know, I've accepted my lot in life. I just have a very soothing voice, and there's nothing I can do about that. No hiding bodies in the wall either, please. I cannot have criminal charges from my very first stream. All right. Also, I just went and kissed my femme as well, so all is well in the world. I am so sorry. I am so bugged by the fact that Restream is not showing me what's actually on my screen. I won't like mess with it because whatever, but that's annoying to me. All right, here we go. Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. That rhymed, and it wasn't even on purpose. Okay. The Telltale Heart. And please forgive, this might not be as smooth of a reading because I have not practiced this one, but true. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am, but why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken, and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him, and every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh, so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed so that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it very slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously, oh so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye, and this I did for 7 long nights, every night, just at midnight, but I found the eye always closed. And so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph, to think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch with a thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers, and so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily. I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still, and said nothing. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan. I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no, it was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing on the floor, or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found them all in vain. All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot out from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And now have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the senses? Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous, so I am. And now at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leapt into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done, but for many minutes the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatsoever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all, When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock. Still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves, with perfect suavity, as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled. For what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room, and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but still they sat and chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore, I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no, they heard. They suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark! Louder, 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 louder! Villains, I shrieked, dissemble no more. I admit the deed, tear up the planks. Here it is, the beating of his hideous heart. The end. Who wants to get their limbs dismembered? Why are we doing that? His love language is acts of service. Acts of service being murdering and dismembering. So true. Thank you. I'm taking my bows. Okay, Sloan actually did not pick these stories for me. They were going to like transcribe the scary stories as tell at sleepovers, but those ones ended up being like too short, and they are for kids, so they don't really have like a very good ending. Like they're not good for reading out loud. They're just good for, scaring children. So I did pick these ones myself. But thanks, you guys. Thank you. Honestly, I would, you know what? I know that I could dismember you guys and you'd say thank you, but maybe don't say that in the chat, cause like, what if I do dismember you, and then it's all out here written out. I think it'd be really fun to do audiobooks, but the hard thing is that if there's a lot of characters, you have to do voices. And you guys will see how I do voices. I'm not doing like voices for the monkey's paw, but there are a couple of speaking roles. So I'll be like differentiating a little bit, and you guys can let me know what you think about that. This tea is very good, by the way. I've never had lemon tea before, but it's very delicious. Alrighty. Okay, I'm gonna like switch gears a little bit. Also, these are like not taking as long for me to read as I thought they were. I didn't do like a timed read out loud. I was just kind of like reading through them and taking my best guess. So, I might try to dig up a few more. If you guys have any requests, like pop them in the chat. I'll read the 2 that I had planned, and then see where we're at with time. And if you guys want me to do more, I'm happy to do more, because this is really fun. I am having a great time. Let's see. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is called How to Host a Haunted House Murder Mystery Party. This one is, yes, I have read some poems. I have a poem reading audio on my Reddit. I could do more. They just seem like kind of like random one-offs, and I don't really know where to put them. I guess I could put them on the Pillow Talk sub, but yeah, I do have those. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna read How to Host a Haunted House Murder Mystery Party. After this one, I'm gonna have to take a little bit of a break and figure out a different setup a little bit, because right now my computer's not plugged in, because I do not have enough ports on my computer to use the mic, use a second screen, and charge my computer. So we'll reset then, but I'll read this one first. I'm just checking the chat really quick. I will put them on YouTube. But narrative improv on YouTube, like, would people, be interested in listening to poems? I don't know. It's hard to know with, like, a lot of people say keep your channel to like one specific thing, but who fucking cares? Whatever. I'll put whatever the fuck I want on there, because I can do that. Alrighty. They do keep making laptops like that. It's so fucking annoying. I'm so annoyed. This computer is nice because it's lightweight and it's easy to carry around, but that is like the only nice thing about it, because it's just, she needs more holes, like, not to be that guy, but she does need more holes. Anyway, all right. Here we go. How to host a haunted house murder mystery party. Choose your setting. Find a large house with lots of rooms. One where the light switches are far enough away from each door that your guests will have to step into the room to turn them on. If possible, find a house where the electricity is fragile. Keep an eye on the weather report and schedule accordingly. A basement and an attic are essential, the former with a wood pile and a cast iron stove, the latter with dress forms and old hobby horse, dolls no one has thought about in years, and at least one antique steamer's trunk large enough to hold a body. There should be mirrors in odd and unexpected places. Let your guests catch their reflections as they're groping for the light in a darkened room, and feel for a moment that they are not alone. Eventually, they will realize it's only a mirror, but that moment of pure terror is enough to set the mood. From that point on, they will continue to glance in the direction of the glass, wondering whether the reflection in the corner of their eye could really be them. There should be plenty of bedrooms, but few bathrooms. Of these bathrooms, one should contain a clawfoot tub deep enough that you cannot see the bottom of it while standing in the door. Showers should have their curtains pulled tightly closed before the evening begins. The kitchen should be incongruously bright, a break in the tension, a place where your guests will feel they may be safe for a while. A dining room table to seat at least 13. Chandeliers, narrow staircases requiring guests to ascend and descend one at a time. That one room you never go in, no matter what, even though the door has never been locked. Ideally, your house is already haunted and only minimal preparation will be required. Creating your invitations. Use thick, good quality paper. Consider a scent, nothing crass like lilac or vanilla. Use something subtle, like wood smoke, reminding your guests of tales told around a campfire, or more obscure still, the scent of old books, that one book in particular with the gruesome illustrations their parents warned would give them nightmares, but which they could never resist. The book they returned to again and again for the awful, delicious, and terrible thrill, reading it by flashlight under the covers and later waking screaming, betrayed by those same covers meant to keep them safe. That smell. The invitation should be done in calligraphy to add a touch of class. Deliver the invitations by hand. No postmark, no return address. Invite extra guests. Invite at least one person liable to turn up late. Provide at least one guest with the wrong address so they become lost along the way. They will consider themselves lucky once all is said and done. Every tale needs a survivor. Don't be concerned if you don't have 13 close friends. The evening will work better if your guests are unacquainted with each other, at least on the surface. Do not be concerned that your guests will refuse. There is no doubt they will attend. They always do. Not for the secrets you know about them, and you do, but for what they have come to know about themselves in the long, lonely years they have spent waiting for just such an invitation to arrive. When the invitation comes, it will be a relief. They will be able to let go of the sense of dread, the one that they have never been able to name. They will breathe out and say, "Ah, yes, here it is at last." Most of them are long past thinking they can be forgiven. Some are even past believing they deserve this. No, they need this. A ghost to give shape to their pain, a physical manifestation of their loss and guilt. They will come because the ghosts you can offer them are the only way they can make sense of their worlds. A better question to ask before your evening begins: why are you compelled to invite strangers to participate in your game? Do you still believe you can be forgiven? Do you believe ghosts are a communicable thing, able to be passed off to an unwitting individual stepping through your door? Making the introductions. No real names will be used. The first guest shall be called Madame Edamame, the near palindrome delicious, yet slightly unsettling. It will show your guests you have a sense of fun. There is no real harm to be had here. Next will be Miss Foster. Not Mrs., not Ms., Miss. It is old-fashioned and infantilizing. It is also cruel. None of this is without intent. Where Madame Edamame's name is meant to put your guests at ease, Miss Foster's is meant to pull the rug out from under them. Everything is uncertain here. They are on dangerous ground. Miss Foster has been in and out of homes where she was never entirely welcome her entire life. Always the changeling, never the adopted child. For all intents and purposes, she is still a child, hungry for acceptance and love, desperate to fit in. Did her families hurt her? Did she hurt them? Does she smell faintly of ash and the ghost of old fires? A little mystery in the guest adds a mystery into the game. No, some names will be more common. This is Mr. Evans. Just that. Nothing less, nothing more. There's also Mr. Espadrille, young Mr. Cleves, Mrs. Hanover, Father Crispin, Elizabeth, no last name given, Mr. James, Mr. Otterly, and Captain Frank. There must always be a military officer invited to such affairs, though Captain Frank prefers her given name of Jane. She's put the war behind her, after all, even though she will show up to your party wearing every medal she's ever earned. Don't forget to count yourself. You are part of the game as well. Cocktails to set the mood. Start with the classics. Old-fashioned, sidecars, Manhattans. These will give the party a timeless air and help disconnect your guests from place and time. Strengthen the illusion that they have been lifted from the world they know and set adrift in some past. But not their past, mind you. It is still safe here. Still fun. Even those guests who do not usually partake or who have been known to imbibe too much to ease the pressure of being among strangers in an uncertain situation. Drinks to loosen tongues and smooth the way. It is easier to mingle with a drink in your hand. A drink, or two, or many, will allow your guests to leave their baggage behind, at least for as long as it takes them to reach the bottom of each glass. Dinner is served. Dinner will be tense, despite the alcohol, or perhaps because of it. At this point, your guests will begin to question their decision to play along. They have always known they would, yet self-doubt will leave them restless. Do not be concerned. All is going according to plan. There will be wine brought up from cellars the house doesn't have. Scotch, whiskey, brandy, and vodka in well-chilled glasses. This is when the first ghost will appear. It will be no more than a flicker of movement at the corner of the eye. Perhaps Mrs. Hanover will be the one to spot it, and her hand will fly to her mouth. Perhaps it will be Mr. James. He will start, jerking his chair back from the table as though pulled by some unseen hand. A fork will be dropped or a glass may break. If you are especially fortuitous, the power will choose this moment to blink, but it will remain on. Nervous laughter will follow. Dear me, aren't we all so silly here, jumping at shadows? None of your guests will admit to the ghost they've seen, the one they've always known to be waiting for them here. One can only outrun their past for so long. Smile. Get through the meal despite the tightness in all throats, the lack of appetite, the sense of some worse blow about to fall. Everything will be fine. The late arrival, aka the 13th guest. He's a motorist whose car has broke down. Or perhaps you invited. Let's call him Mr. Perkins. His name is not important. Now your quota of 13 guests is complete. Rain will drip from the hem of his coat, and his overshoes will leave puddles on your floor. His arrival is heralded by a crash of thunder. Maybe one of the other guests lets out an involuntary gasp. Despite the lingering sense of unease, the other guests, consciously or not, have come to think of your party as their own. There is a proprietary sense. They are survivors thrown together to persevere against all odds. Mr. Perkins is an outsider. They have been in this together since the beginning. He has not. How can they trust him? He does not belong. Your party is going swimmingly so far. Okay, 1 second. Sorry, guys. The sun is going down, and I'm going to turn some lights on. 1 sec. All right. Drink of tea, back in it. Dealing with potential pitfalls. The problem is your house is actually haunted. This was never a game. There is a strong likelihood someone will die in earnest before the evening is done. There is no known solution to this pitfall. Do not be concerned. This is a feature, not a bug. Entertainment. Variant number 1, the seance. After dinner, bring out the Ouija board. There is no need to procure one beforehand. There are many closets in your house of many doors. One of them has a board. It is wrapped in your great-aunt's favorite tablecloth, tucked away on the top shelf behind a pair of boots no one has ever worn. Ask your guests to join hands. Dim the lights. Perhaps the power is already off by now. Light candles, either out of necessity or to set the atmosphere. Before the game begins, ensure no one is touching the planchette. It will move regardless. It will spell a name, which none of your guests claim to recognize, though at least 2 of them do. Mr. Otterly, or perhaps Elizabeth with no last name, will leave the table in disgust. They will consider departing the house altogether, but something will compel them to stay. There is a pressure, not visible but certainly tangible, standing just before the front door. To pass through it is to drown. To pass through it is to have all your worst experiences dredged up from the bottom of your soul and wrapped around you like a second skin. No one ever notices it coming into the house. Everyone notices it when they try to leave. You have ceased to notice it at all. Entertainment variant number 2, Blind Man's Bluff. This game is traditionally played outdoors. However, your sitting room is more than large enough to serve. Perhaps it was once a ballroom? Draw the curtains against the lightning. Madame Edamame will wear the blindfold. Have your guests stand around her in a circle and spin her until she is dizzy and nearly falling down. The alcohol will help in this regard. As she reaches to steady herself, your guests will scatter and hide themselves away, beneath the grand piano, behind the tight-drawn curtains, inside the curio cabinet where the good china and glass figurines used to be displayed, the one with the shelves taken out long ago. Madame Edamame will stumble. She will call a name, possibly the name of one of your guests, but not the name they have been given for the game. Inside the curio cabinet, where shelves used to be, there will be 1 heartbeat and 2 sets of breath. Behind the curtains, a stifled laugh. Beneath the piano, 2 sets of eyes peer out at the game, even though the guest hiding there hid alone. Madame Edamame will pretend to not be afraid. She will feel someone touch her hand. By the time your other guests think to help her, it will be too late. She will have already left bloody gouges on her cheeks, tearing the blindfold away. Entertainment variant number 3, Exploration. This is the most popular variant. It always comes down to exploration and isolation in the end. A ghost for every guest, and each to their own. Divide the party into pairs and send them out in different directions. Your guests may be reluctant, but there is safety in numbers, after all. Remind them that none of them will be alone. This isn't exactly comforting. If this isn't exactly comforting, remind them that they came here of their own free will. What happens from here on out is out of your hands. Tea break. First exploration team, the library. Miss Foster and young Mr. Cleves will proceed to the library. Young Mr. Cleves will grope his way toward the light, or where he believes the light ought to be. He will trip over a pile of books, cursing softly. He will lose track of Miss Foster right away. He will be terrified simultaneously that he is alone and no longer alone. Something will break. Don't worry, material things can always be replaced. When young Mr. Cleves finds the light, it will illuminate Miss Foster standing in front of one of the floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. In all her unrooted childhood, books were her but young Mr. Cleves won't be able to make out the words. He will be profoundly grateful for this fact. Blood, a single drop, will fall from Miss Foster's palm. She will not turn when young Mr. Cleves calls her name. He will be profoundly grateful for this as well. The idea of seeing her face fills him with blank dread. He has begun to suspect that she is not so young as she seems. At the same time, the fear that she is unable to move, will never move again, haunts him. He cannot leave her here, but he cannot bring himself to touch her shoulder either, as if a haunting could be passed along like a disease. He will be forced to admit to himself that he was hoping for something more, exploring a dimly lit house with a lovely and fragile young girl. He will feel small, seeing his impulse to chivalry for the base thing it is. His pulse will slow. It will slow continually, each beat more distant from the next. Paradoxically, his breath will speed with the waiting, which will seem interminable, waiting to see whether the distance between one beat and the next becomes too vast and they stop. Second exploration team, the basement. Mr. James and Captain Frank will make their way to the basement. They will reach the bottom of the steps before they find the light. The basement smells of dust and the memory of rain, something sweet and sharp and long buried underlying both. The wood pile and the glowering pot-bellied stove will greet them. Mr. James will be reminded inexplicably of his father. He will pick up the axe, even though the blade is sunk deep into one of the logs, abandoned mid-chop, and it will require a great amount of effort to pull it free. He will not understand why he does these things, but he will be compelled. The blade is rusty. The handle fits his grip like an old friend. Mr. James will swing the axe, just once, in his mind, to test the heft. But his arms will ache as though he swung it again and again. Captain Frank, Jane, as she prefers to be called, will think, fuck no, I am not dying this way. I did not survive 2 wars to buy it in a moldy basement. She will see, again, buildings torn apart, hear the screams following an IED explosion, every IED explosion. She will taste plaster and cement blown to dust as her mind struggles to rearrange a puzzle of scattered limbs. She will think, yes, this is familiar, this I know, and she will do what needs to be done. Captain Frank will limp when she climbs the stairs back into the light. She will be alone. Her hair will be disheveled, and one of her medals missing. Behind her, the basement will be dark. Even if she did look back, she wouldn't be able to see a thing. Third exploration team, the garden. Father Crispin and Mr. Evans will take the brick path to the shed at the end of the yard, a straight line from the house's back door. There is no light in the shed, which is scarcely bigger than a tomb, and why should there be? Most people don't garden in the dark. Father Crispin will prop the door open with a brick. It will take a moment for his eyes to adjust, and a moment longer to realize he is alone. Mr. Evans vanished somewhere between the shed and the back door. Or perhaps he has always been alone. Father Crispin will breathe in the scent of turned earth and old clay. Trowels, rakes, and clawed instruments hang from the walls. Bottles of fertilizers and weed killer and rat poison line the shelves. Everything in the shed can be used to kill. Even though he isn't a man of the cloth, not outside of this evening and the role you have assigned him, Father Crispin will whisper a prayer. As he does, he will suddenly where he took his vows, a place he has surely never been. Yet he will know how his days there smelled of earth, and how he spent long hours in the garden weeding rows of tomato and cucumber plants by hand. Water will drip from the hem of Father Crispin at the back of his head, will suggest he kneel. Not to pray, but up and tied with twine. He will not want to open it. He will dread opening it with all his soul, and he will open it all the same. The bones inside are too small, too light to be human, yet too perfect to be anything else. He will know. He has always known. This was waiting for him here. Father Crispin will cradle the bones close against his chest, murmuring the words of a long-forgotten lullaby, weeping softly the whole while. Evaluating your party's success. There are more rooms and more pairings. There is no need to enumerate them all. Some things are better left unseen, as Father Crispin well knows. Besides, it would take all the fun out of your party to know every detail in advance. As the evening unwinds, there are several ways it might go. You could find yourself with a house full of final girls, or a house full of final boys. You could find yourself with a mix of both, or neither. You might find yourself all alone. It has happened many times before. Ideally, this is the part of the evening when you gather your guests to reveal how and where and who and why. However, it seems there is no one left to gather. You aren't even certain anyone has been murdered, or whether there is any crime to reveal. There are human remains in your house, to be sure, but it is highly likely those have been there all along. All that remains is your own exploration, a foray through the empty rooms of your house to take stock of the evening's game. You may delay, hesitate, hem, and haw, but sooner or later, you'll have to climb the attic stairs and throw open the steamer trunk that is large enough to fit a body inside. You will have to descend to the basement, return the axe to its place, and use your fingernails to pry up the floorboards. You will have to go to the library and the garden shed, the kitchen and the conservatory. You will have to stand on your tiptoes in the bathroom door and hope that just this once you'll be able to see inside the clawfoot tub without entering the room. As the host, it is your duty to search every last nook and cranny to be sure. But to be sure of what? That you are alone? That you have never been alone? Sooner or later, you'll have to go into the room you swore you'd never enter again. The door stands an inch ajar, waiting for you. You will stand in the hallway for as long as you can. Then you'll grope for the light, and there will be a moment of panic before you remember. All the switches are far away from all the doors. You must step into the dark. This darkness is physical, like dropping into a pool. It closes over your head, and maybe this time, just this once, you really will drown. Maybe it's better not to reach for the light. If you do, you'll know the faceless thing in the corner isn't just a shadow. You'll know that in the closet there's a hanged girl. Someone is waiting in the corner, by the crib, by the old hobby horse, by the rocking chair where no one has sat for years. They were in the room a moment before you. They just left. They must have passed you in the hall, close enough to touch. If you reach for the light now, a hand will reach back for you. Fingers will brush across your skin. But if you wait long enough, if you refuse to act, the decision will be made for you. Your eyes will adjust. The shadows in the corner, in the closet, under the bed, by the chair, will coalesce. You will see, even if your eyes are closed. There are so many ways to host a haunted house murder mystery party, but there is only one way this can end. This room, this house, your life, have all the hallmarks of a haunting. You should know by now, you cannot be forgiven. By now, you should no longer need a ghost to make your pain real, but standing paralyzed in the door, counting the space between one heartbeat and the next, you can't help but ask yourself over and over again, what did you do to deserve this? The end. Hold on, are we thirsting over edamame? Hold on. Oh. um. That's okay. Yep. I don't know, guys. I think they're all dead. I think they're all dead, actually. Mommy. You know what? Yeah, I can see that you did start something you can't stop. That's that's okay. I think edamame is probably the most important takeaway from that story. Yeah. Um, Once is all it takes. You know, you're in a room like with a bunch of lesbians, right? Captain Frank hot as hell. Jane Frank, one chance, please. Yeah, see, that's the point. The point is that you stay up, that it gets in your head, that you're like, I don't know what just happened, but I am scared of what just happened. Demon edamame. Man, you guys are cooking up all kinds of lore. I love this. That was cracking me up. I pictured Madame Edamame as like, I don't know, more like matronly, less like mommy, but that's my mistake. Um so not Elliot 69. I do have a Discord server. It is not public. It's for members of my site because I have like membership tiers, and if you join like the lowest tier, you can get in there. But I just don't have the like bandwidth at the moment to mod a public Discord server, so it is not open to the public at the moment. Oh my god. Drive safe. I'm so sorry you have to drive outside right now. What was that about edamame? Really. Just what you'd expect. Be so brave on your drive. We're all rooting for you. Edamame is with you always. Honestly, Lady... Okay, hold on. Can I say this? Lady Domitresk? Is that how it's pronounced? I've never played the game. Yeah, I was kind of getting those vibes as well, but like less scary. But tall. Tall was what I had in mind. Tall with gray hair. Alex, we are not going into the forest. Okay. What's up, Lush? Welcome. Domitresk. Hell yeah. All right. Fucking goated. I honestly feel like I need to like amp up the scaries in this chat because I thought I thought I was gonna be more freaked out, but I've been pretty chill. I think knowing that I'm like scaring other people more is helping. So Mommy Tresk. You missed Mommy Tresk. That's mostly it. Ooh, it's raining and gray out. Yeah, it's kind of gloomy here too. It's really nice. Oh, this edamame is cracking me up. Alrighty, let's see. Oh my god, you need to go to bed. You cannot be up when you have to be awake at 8. That's crazy. Oh my god, not the Eiffel Tower. Okay, I feel like I need to look for some scarier stories. Like the monkey's paw is pretty scary. But do you guys have any like suggestions? I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. Okay, please hold. I need to get my computer plugged in before it dies. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna change the like streaming screen so that the chat's in there, because I realize I'm streaming from two different places, and I'm reading the chat all in one place. So I'm putting this out so that like anybody watching along can see both like chat streams. So that if I seem like I'm responding to nothing or no one, I'm not. It's Well, you guys just let me know if you can see it, because once again, fucking Restream is not showing me an updated screen. So if you can see the Sunday Scaries with the chat feed on there, let me know. Okay, beautiful. Yay! Now Twitch and YouTube can commune one with another. Peace and love on planet Earth. Awesome. Sweet. I won't be reading these because bye, Bearwin. I hope I said that right. I hope you get to come back. But some of the scariest things I've ever read are these like stories allegedly told by some, what are they, like park rangers and search and rescue teams that go out into, oh, hold on a second, the landlady and lamb to the slaughter. Okay. Search and rescue teams that go out to find people who get lost in the middle of nowhere in national parks and that kind of thing, like way, way, way off the beaten path. And like they've like told about some of like the freaky shit that they've seen out there, and maybe they're making it up. It's totally possible that they are, but in my mind they probably are not, and I can't even like recommend that you guys go read it if you're easily spooked, because for some reason I read that in the middle of a lot of crazy shit going on in my life, and I definitely did not need extra fear in my brain, but I read those and I was not sleeping for a while. Yes. Yeah, the stairs in the woods. There was also another one that was like some hiker like climbed up a mountain and found somebody with no face or something like that. It just like surely fake, but written in a very realistic way, and them being like, this is all true, like this is my life experience, you know, you can discount it if you want to. Like I'm kind of gullible when it comes to shit like that, and so I'm like, oh yeah, like this has got to be true. And yeah, anyways, very scary stuff. Yeah, see, 100% not making it up. It's very convincing, and honestly, like there's so much shit out there. There's so much like the planet is so big, so little of it is actually populated by human beings. There's got to be some freaky shit going on out in the, you know, wherever the fuck wilderness. Like I can see that being true. Yeah, but if you poison, if you look at like it's on, I found them on Reddit. I think there's like a no sleep Reddit, and if you look at some of the most popular threads on there, you'll probably find it. Let's see. Oh my god, why did you watch Human Centipede as your first horror movie? That's horrendous. I have not seen the Human Centipede, but I have listened to the Human Centipede from the next room over. I was like working a midnight shift, like a graveyard shift, and my boss was watching the Human Centipede in their office, and so I just listened to the whole thing, which I think was worse because my brain got to fill in all the gory details. It was awesome. Yeah. I mean, I just like, why don't you turn it off? You know what I mean? It's so bad. It's just like, it's not even, I feel like it's not even like fun horror. It's just gross and awful. Like horrifying, yes, but not like just like depraved, you know? Hate that. Hey, I did not traumatize myself. If you're talking about Human Centipede, I was not allowed to go into my boss's office, and they wouldn't turn the TV down. So I just had to stand there and listen to it. Um, my first oh my god, I have like a crazy fear of being really deep underwater. I have a fear what I feel like there's a specific name for that kind of fear where you are afraid of big things under the water, like thinking about um like sunken ships, whales, just large things underwater. It makes my skin fucking crawl. That's like worst nightmare shit. Thalassophobia? Is that what it is? Sorry guys, is the stream bad for everybody? Submachinophobia. Maybe. Thalassophobia. Okay, what's the difference between thalassophobia and submachinophobia? Because I'm not really afraid. Well, no, I'm not like super afraid of like large structures on land. I don't love them. Like if it's I don't know. I'm trying to think of like scary big shit like big mines or things like that. That can be a little freaky, but I don't get nearly the same reaction to that. Um, Stuff that's underwater. Sorry, I'm seeing your guys' comments about it cutting out. I don't really know how to fix that. I'm sorry. I don't know how to like fix if the streaming is bad. Cuz all I have is my Wi-Fi. Honestly, Mags, that's like so valid. I feel like you were probably like a an endangered underwater creature in another life. Can I monitor it through OBS? Let's see. Oh shit. Oh yeah, my frame rate is fucking terrible. But how do I fix that? um Sorry guys. First ever stream. Unfortunately, you are getting the brunt of it. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I have both. Submechanophobia and thalassophobia. I hate both of those things. I'm trying to I'm trying it keeps jumping around. Like the frame rate keeps driving and then it's like, "Oh, it's fine. It's green." A squid that got eaten by a whale, seal that got eaten by a shark, fish caught by a dolphin. In that order or it doesn't say why I'm missing frames. It just says dropped frames. It just says the number, and then it tells me what the kbps is, which I don't know what that means. Our Wi-Fi is kind of unstable. Sorry, it was pretty strong when I was starting, and it keeps going green, and then it drops out into red for some reason. Let me see. Edamame, help me. Poison, you're asking me really great questions that I don't know how to answer. What bitrate am I using to stream? Let's see. Would that be in the settings? You guys are all being so patient and so nice with me. Thank you so much. Advanced. I don't know where I'd find bitrate. Stream delay. Output. Oh, I was looking at output before I saw that. I'm so good at this. Okay, it's at 6,000. What should I put it on? Everybody invoke edamame right now. Bitrate, advanced mode. Okay, hold on. I can't find the advanced mode. Oh, output mode is advanced. It's on. Yeah, that's on. Okay, constant bit rate, way lower. So I'll do 3,000 then. And rate control. So it says rate control, and it's CBR, ABR, VBR, or CRF. Is that what I'm supposed to look at? Variable bit rate. VBR. Okay. 3,000. Clicking OK. Okay. That setting is done. I don't know how to tell if it's gonna work. It kind of still looks like the kbps is still iffy. I don't know if it takes a minute to kick in. Shall we continue? I don't want to like keep going if you guys are gonna be missing like half the story when I'm reading. Okay. It just buffers and continues from the same point. Okay, well that's not terrible. Okay, we'll continue. We will continue on. Gabby, thank you so much. You're right. No, nobody has ever told me that my voice is nice to listen to, and it means a lot hearing that. So thank you so much. Yeah, nobody's ever said that to me before. You got one more story in you, Sona Elliott? Can I call you Elliott, or is it Sona Elliott? Powers of edamame are with us. Let's get scared, everyone. All right, we're gonna do the monkey's paw. This was one of the first, and I think probably only, like adult, but just like not for kids, scary story I ever read. Kenny, I'm being a little sarcastic. I'm just being a little silly. People do tell me that I have a nice voice because I do this a lot. But so I read The Monkey's Paw in high school. And that just scared me so bad. I was like shaking afterwards, but it was also very like riveting. So licking in. Okay, I think this is the wrong chat for that. No licking in. This is SFW. Oh man, you guys. You crazy kids. All right. We're gonna get spooky now. Lock in. Monkey's paw. Hold on, I need to rearrange my screens. Okay. There will be no licking of any kind. We're licking the monkey's paw, and you guys are not gonna like that, I promise. Yeah, keep it classy, everybody. Keep it classy. Okay. All right. Here we go. The Monkey's Paw by W. Jacobs. Without, the night was cold and wet, but in the small parlor of Laburnum Villa the blinds were drawn and the fires burned brightly. Father and son were at chess, the former, who possessed ideas about the game involving radical changes, putting his king into such sharp and unnecessary perils that it even provoked comment from the white-haired old lady knitting placidly by the fire. "Hark at the wind," said Mr. White, who, having seen a fatal mistake after it was too late, was amiably desirous of preventing his son from seeing it. "I'm listening," said the latter, grimly surveying the board as he stretched out his hand. "Check." "I should hardly think that he'd come tonight," said his father, with his hand poised over the board. "Mate," replied the son. "That is the worst of living out so far," bawled Mr. White, with sudden and unlooked-for violence. "Of all the beastly, slushy, out-of-the-way places to live in, this is the worst. Pathway's a bog, and the road's a torrent, and the road Arlette, they think it doesn't matter." "Never mind, dear," said his wife soothingly. "Perhaps you'll win the next one." Mr. White looked up sharply, just in time to intercept a knowing glance between mother and son. The words died away on his lips, and he hid a guilty grin in his thin gray beard. "There he is," said Herbert White, as the gate banged to loudly and heavy footsteps came toward the door. The old man rose with hospitable haste, and opening the door, was heard condoling with the new arrival. The new arrival also condoled with himself, so that Mrs. White said "tut-tut" and coughed gently as her husband entered the room, followed by a tall, burly man, beady of eye and rubicund of visage. "Sergeant Major Morris," he said, introducing him. The sergeant major shook hands, and taking the proffered seat by the fire, watched contentedly while his host got out whiskey and tumblers and stood a small copper kettle on the fire. At the third glass his eyes got brighter, and he began to talk, the little family circle regarding with eager interest this visitor from distant parts, as he squared his broad shoulders in the chair, and spoke of strange scenes and doughty deeds, of wars and plagues and strange peoples. 21 years of it," said Mr. White, nodding at his wife and son. "When he went away, he was a slip of a youth in the warehouse. Now look at him." "He don't look to have taken much harm," said Mrs. White politely. "I'd like to go to India myself," said the old man. "Just to look round a bit, you know." "Better where you are," said the sergeant major, shaking his head. He put down the empty glass, and sighing softly, shook it again. "I should like to see those old temples and fakirs and jugglers," said the old man. "What was that you started telling me the other day about a monkey's paw or something, Morris?" "Nothing," said the soldier hastily. "Leastways, nothing worth hearing." "Monkey's paw?" said Mrs. White curiously. "Well, it's just a bit of what you might call magic, perhaps," said the sergeant major offhandedly. His three listeners leaned forward eagerly. The visitor absent-mindedly put his empty glass to his lips, and then set it down again. His host filled it for him. "To look at," said the sergeant major, fumbling in his pocket, "it's just an ordinary little paw, dried to a mummy." He took something out of his pocket and proffered it. Mrs. White drew back with a grimace, but her son, taking it, examined it curiously. "And what is there special about it?" inquired Mr. White, as he took it from his son, and, having examined it, placed it upon the table. "It had a spell put on it by an old fakir," said the sergeant major, "a very holy man. He wanted to show that fate ruled people's lives, and that those who interfered with it did to their sorrow. He put a spell on it so that 3 separate men could each have 3 wishes from it." His manner was so impressive that his hearers were conscious that their light laughter jarred somewhat. "Well, why don't you have 3, sir?" said Herbert White cleverly. The soldier regarded him the way that middle age is wont to regard presumptuous youth. "I have," he said quietly, and his blotchy face whitened. "And did you really have the 3 wishes granted?" asked Mrs. White. "I did," said the sergeant major, and his glass tapped against his strong teeth. And has anybody else wished? Inquired the old lady. The first man had his 3 wishes, yes, was the reply. I don't know what the first 2 were, but the third was for death. That's how I got the paw. His tones were so grave that a hush fell upon the group. If you'd had your 3 wishes, it's no good to you now, then, Morris, said the old man at last. What do you keep it for? The soldier shook his head. Fancy, I suppose, he said slowly. If you could have another 3 wishes, said the old man, eyeing him keenly, would you have them? I don't know, said the other. I don't know. He took the paw, and dangling it between his front finger and thumb, suddenly threw it upon the fire. White, with a slight cry, stooped down and snatched it off. Better let it burn, said the soldier solemnly. If you don't want it, Morris, said the old man, give it to me. I won't, said his friend doggedly. I threw it on the fire. If you keep it, don't blame me for what happens. Pitch it on the fire again, like a sensible man. The other shook his head and examined his new possession closely. How do you do it? He inquired. Hold it up in your right hand and wish aloud, said the sergeant major, but I warn you of the consequences. Sounds like the Arabian Nights, said Mrs. White, as she rose and began to set the supper. Don't you think you might wish for 4 pairs of hands for me? Her husband drew the talisman from his pocket, and then all 3 burst into laughter as the sergeant major, with a look of alarm on his face, caught him by the arm. If you must wish, he said gruffly, wish for something sensible. Mr. White dropped it back into his pocket and, placing chairs, motioned his friend to the table. In the business of supper, the talisman was partly forgotten, and afterward the 3 sat listening to an enthralled fashion to a second installment of the soldier's adventures in India. If the tale of the monkey paw is not more truthful than those he has been telling us, said Herbert, as the door closed behind their guest, just in time for him to catch the last train, we shan't make much of it. Did you give him anything for it, father? Inquired Mrs. White, regarding her husband closely. A trifle, said he, coloring slightly. He didn't want it, but I made him take it, and he pressed me again to throw it away. Likely, said Herbert with pretended horror. Why, we're going to be rich and famous and happy. Wish to be an emperor, father, to begin with, then you can't be henpecked. He darted round the table, pursued by the maligned Mrs. White, armed with an antimacassar. Mr. White took the paw from his pocket and eyed it dubiously. I don't know what to wish for, and that's a fact, he said slowly. Seems to me I've got all I want. If you only cleared the house, you'd be quite happy, wouldn't you? Said Herbert, with his hand on his shoulder. Well, wish for 200 pounds, then. That'll just do it. His father, smiling shamefacedly at his own credulity, held up the talisman, as his son, with a solemn face somewhat marred by a wink at his mother, sat down at the piano and struck few impressive chords. I wish for 200 pounds, said the old man distinctly. A fine crash from the piano greeted the words, interrupted by a shuddering cry from the old man. His wife and son ran toward him. It moved, he cried, with a glance of disgust at the object as it lay on the floor. As I wished, it twisted in my hands like a snake. Well, I don't see the money, said his son, as he picked it up and placed it on the table, and I bet I never shall. It must have been your fancy, father, said his wife, regarding him anxiously. He shook his head. Never mind, though. There's no harm done, but it gave me a shock all the same. They sat down by the fire again while the 2 men finished their pipes. Outside, the wind was higher than ever, and the old man started nervously at the sound of a door banging upstairs. A silence unusual and depressing settled upon all 3, which lasted until the old couple rose to retire for the night. I expect you'll find the cash tied up in a big bag in the middle of your bed, said Herbert as he bade them good night. And something horrible squatting up on top of the wardrobe, watching you as you pocket your ill-gotten gains. He sat alone in the darkness, gazing at the dying fire and seeing faces in it. The last face was so horrible and so simian that he gazed at it in amazement. It got so vivid that with a little uneasy laugh he felt on the table for a glass containing a little water to throw over it. His hand grasped the monkey's paw, and with a little shiver he wiped his hand on his coat and went up to bed. Okay, tea break. Part 2. It's not like a chapter, but it's like the second part. In the brightness of the wintry sun next morning, as it streamed over the breakfast table, Herbert laughed at his fears. There was an air of prosaic wholesomeness about the room, which it had lacked on the previous night, and the dirty, shriveled little paw was pitched on the sideboard with a carelessness which betokened no great belief in its virtues. "I suppose all old soldiers are the same," said Mrs. White. "The idea of our listening to such nonsense. How could wishes be granted in these days? And if they could, how could 200 pounds hurt you, father?" "Might drop on his head from the sky," said the frivolous Herbert. "Morris said the things happened so naturally," said his father, "that you might, if you so wished, attribute it to coincidence." "Well, don't break into the money before I come back," said Herbert as he rose from the table. "I'm afraid it'll turn you into a mean, avaricious man, and we shall have to disown you." Sorry, I didn't know that word. Avaricious. His mother laughed, and following him to the door, watched him down the road, and returning to the breakfast table was very happy at the expense of her husband's credulity, all of which did not prevent her from scurrying to the door at the postman's knock, nor prevent her from referring somewhat shortly to retired sergeant majors of bibulous habits when she found that the post brought a tailor's bill. "Herbert will have some more of his funny remarks, I expect, when he comes home," she said, and they sat at dinner. "I dare say," said Mr. White, pouring himself out some beer. "But for all that, the thing moved in my hand. That I'll swear to." "You thought it did," said the old lady soothingly. "I say it did," replied the other. "There was no thought about it. I had just... What's the matter?" His wife made no reply. She was watching the mysterious movements of a man outside, who, peering in an undecided fashion at the house, appeared to be trying to make up his mind to enter. In mental connection with the 200 pounds, she noticed that the stranger was well dressed and wore a silk hat of glossy newness. 3 times he paused at the gate, and then walked on again. The 4th time he stood with his hand upon it, and then with sudden resolution flung it open and walked up the path. Mrs. White at the same moment placed her hands behind her, and hurriedly unfastening the strings of her apron, put that useful article of apparel beneath the cushion of her chair. She brought the stranger, who seemed ill at ease, into the room. He gazed at her furtively, and listened in a preoccupied fashion as the old lady apologized for the appearance of the room and her husband's coat, a garment for which he usually reserved for the garden. She then waited as patiently as her sex would permit for him to broach his business, but he was at first strangely silent. "I was asked to call," he said at last, and stooped and picked a piece of cotton from his trousers. "I come from Ma and Megan's." The old lady started. "Is anything the matter?" she asked breathlessly. "Has anything happened to Herbert? What is it? What is it?" Her husband interposed. There, mother," he said hastily. "Sit down and don't jump to conclusions. You've not brought bad news, I'm sure, sir," and he eyed the other wistfully. "I'm sorry," began the visitor. "Is he hurt?" demanded the mother. The visitor bowed in assent. "Badly hurt," he said quietly, "but he is not in any pain." "Oh, thank God," said the old woman, clasping her hands. "Thank God for that. She broke off suddenly, as the sinister meaning of the assurance dawned upon her, and she saw the awful confirmation of her fears in the other's averted face. She caught her breath, and turning to her slower-witted husband, laid her trembling old hand upon his. There was a long silence. "He was caught in the machinery," said the visitor at length, in a low voice. "Caught in the machinery," repeated Mr. White in a dazed fashion. "Yes." He sat staring blankly out at the window, and taking his wife's hand between his own, pressed it as he had been wont to do in their old courting days nearly 40 years before. "He was the only one left to us," he said, turning gently to the visitor. "It is hard." The other coughed, and, rising, walked slowly to the window. "The firm wished me to convey their sincere sympathy with you in your great loss," he said, without looking round. "I beg that you will understand I am only their servant and merely obeying orders." There was no reply. The old woman's face was white, her eyes staring, and her breath inaudible. On the husband's face was a look such as his friend the sergeant might have carried into his first action. "I was to say that Ma and Megan's disclaim all responsibility," continued the other. "They admit no liability at all, but in consideration of your son's services, they wish to present you with a certain sum as compensation." Mr. White dropped his wife's hand and, rising to his feet, gazed with a look of horror at his visitor. His dry lips shaped the words. "How much?" £200 was the answer. Unconscious of his wife's shriek, the old man smiled faintly, put out his hands like a sightless man, and dropped, a senseless heap, to the floor. End part 2. Water break. Oh. Jesus is Lord. So true. Hopefully the stream quality is a little bit better for you guys. I'm sorry if it's still ass. All right, part 3. In the huge new cemetery, some 2 miles distant, the old people buried their dead and came back to a house steeped in shadow and silence. It was all over so quickly that at first they could hardly realize it, and remained in a state of expectation as though of something else to happen, something else which was to lighten this load, too heavy for old hearts to bear. But the days passed, and expectation gave place to resignation, the hopeless resignation of the old, sometimes miscalled apathy. Sometimes they hardly exchanged a word, for now they had nothing to talk about, and their days were long to weariness. It was about a week after that that the old man, walking suddenly in the night, stretched out his hand and found himself alone. The room was in darkness, and the sound of subdued weeping came from the window. He raised himself in bed and listened. "Come back," he said tenderly. "You will be cold." "It is colder for my son," said the old woman, and wept afresh. The sound of her sobs died away on his ears. The bed was warm, and his eyes heavy with sleep. He dozed fitfully, and then slept until a sudden wild cry from his wife awoke him with a start. "The paw!" she cried wildly. "The monkey's paw!" He started up in alarm. Where is it? What's the matter?" She came stumbling across the room toward him. "I want it," she said quietly. "You've not destroyed it?" "It's in the parlor on the bracket," he replied, marveling. "Why?" She cried and laughed together, and bending over kissed his cheek. "I only just thought of it," she said hysterically. "Why didn't I think of it before? Why didn't you think of it?" "Think of what?" he questioned. "The other 2 wishes," she replied rapidly. "We've only had one." "Was that not enough?" he demanded fiercely. "No," she cried triumphantly. "We'll have one more. Go down and get it quickly, and wish our boy alive again." The man sat up in bed and flung the bedclothes from his quaking limbs. "Good God, you are mad," he cried aghast. "Get it," she panted. "Get it quickly and wish. Oh, my boy, my boy!" Her husband struck a match and lit the candle. "Get back to bed," he said unsteadily. "You don't know what you are saying." "We had the first wish granted," said the old woman feverishly. "Why not the second?" A coincidence," stammered the old man. "Go and get it and wish," cried the old woman, quivering with excitement. The old man turned and regarded her, and his voice shook. "He has been dead 10 days, and besides, I would not tell you else, but I could only recognize him by his clothing. If he was too terrible for you to see then, how now?" "Bring him back," cried the old woman, and dragged him towards the door. "Do you think I fear the child I have nursed?" He went down in the darkness and felt his way to the parlor, and then to the mantelpiece. The talisman was in its place, and a horrible fear that the unspoken wish might bring his mutilated son before him ere he could escape from the room seized upon him, and he caught his breath as he found that he had lost the direction of the door. His brow cold with sweat, he felt his way round the table, and groped along the wall until he found himself in the small passage with the unwholesome thing in his hand. Even his wife's face seemed changed as he entered the room. It was white and expectant, and to his fears seemed to have an unnatural look upon it. He was afraid of her. "Wish!" she cried in a strong voice. "It is foolish and wicked," he faltered. "Wish!" repeated his wife. He raised his hand. "I wish my son alive again." The talisman fell to the floor, and he regarded it fearfully. Then he sank trembling into a chair as the old woman with burning eyes walked to the window and raised a blind. He sat until he was chilled with the cold, glancing occasionally at the figure of the old woman peering through the window. The candle end, which had burnt below the rim of the china candlestick, was throwing pulsating shadows on the ceilings and walls until, with a flicker larger than the rest, it expired. The old man, with an unspeakable sense of relief at the failure of the talisman, crept back to his bed, and a minute or two afterward the old woman came silently and apathetically beside him. Neither spoke, but both lay silently listening to the ticking of the clock. A stair creaked, and a squeaky mouse scurried noisily through the wall. The darkness was oppressive, and after lying for some time screwing up his courage, the husband took the box of matches and, striking one, went downstairs for a candle. At the foot of the stairs the match went out, and he paused to strike another, and at the same moment a knock, so quiet and stealthy as to be scarcely audible, sounded on the front door. The matches fell from his hand. He stood motionless, his breath suspended until the knock was repeated. Then he turned and fled swiftly back to his room and closed the door behind him. A third knock sounded through the house. "What's that?" cried the old woman, starting up. A rat," said the old man in shaking tones. "A rat! It passed me on the stairs." His wife sat up in bed listening. A loud knock resounded through the house. "It's Herbert!" she screamed. "It's Herbert!" She ran to the door, but her husband was before her and, catching her by the arm, held her tightly. "What are you going to do?" he whispered hoarsely. "It's my boy! It's Herbert!" she cried, struggling mechanically. "I forgot it was 2 miles away. What are you holding me for? Let go! I must open the door!" "For God's sake, don't let it in!" cried the old man, trembling. "You're afraid of your own son," she cried, struggling. "Let me go! I'm coming, Herbert, I'm coming!" There was another knock, and another. The old woman, with a sudden wrench, broke free and ran from the room. Her husband followed to the landing and called after her appealingly as she hurried downstairs. He heard the chain rattle back, and the bottom bolt drawn slowly and stiffly from the socket. Then the old woman's voice, strained and panting. "The bolt!" she cried loudly. "Come down, I can't reach it!" But her husband was on his hands and knees, groping wildly on the floor in search of the paw. If he could only find it before the thing outside got in. A perfect fusillade of knocks reverberated through the house, and he heard the scraping of a chair as his wife put it down in the passage against the door. He heard the creaking of the bolt as it came slowly back, and at the same moment he found the monkey's paw and frantically breathed his third and last wish. The knocking ceased suddenly, although the echoes of it were still in the house. He heard the chair drawn back and the door opened. A cold wind rushed up the staircase, and a long, loud wail of disappointment and misery from his wife gave him courage to run down to her side, and then to the gate beyond. The street lamp flickering opposite shone on a quiet and deserted road. The end. Who said let him stay dead because his name is Herbert? Oh my god, you guys, that's so funny. Listen, she liked the name Herbert. It was a very handsome name back then. Welcome back, Bearwin. You just missed Monkey's Paw. Sorry. The mystery. Herbert. I mean, maybe I was saying it wrong. Maybe it was like French. Maybe it was like Herbert. I should have said it like that. It'd be sexier or something. That is like genuinely, I think, one of the scariest stories, because you can just like picture him. You can just see him on the other side of that door, and it's like, no, don't let him in. Right? The French helps. Albert. Do we want another one? What do we think? It's been like 2 hours. Thank you. I'm doing my best to like deliver on the atmosphere. You want another one? I could do one more. I might need to get a tea refill. I might have to take like oh no, I've got lots of tea left. Take a little break. No, one more? We can do one more. That was the end of my list. So do we have requests? Do we have Oh wait. Somebody suggested the landlady. Let me give that one a look cuz it looked a little long, but maybe I can do it anyway. Let's see. No, this should be fine. Okay. We'll do The Landlady by Roald Dahl. Oh man, yeah, that's so early. 4 a.m. is crazy. Have a really good night. Sleep really well. Sorry if this keeps you up or gives you nightmares. Thank you for being here. Sona Elliott 69. It's 6 pages in your collection, but the font is very small. it's probably pretty long. Like the Black Cat and the Pit and the Pendulum are both like longer than I would expect. Narrate the entirety of the next one in French accent. I am not going to do that. Thank you so much. That will not be happening. You guys would hate that. It wouldn't even be fun. Like, can I even do it? Let's see. Billy Weaver had traveled down from London on a slow afternoon train with a change-out swindle on the way. And by the time he got to Bath, it was about 9 o'clock in the evening. I can't even like hold it. Oh, wait. Maybe another time. Oh, is it really good? I can't like maintain that though. It starts like turning into a British accent. Oui, baguette. Sorry if there's anybody French in the chat. My apologies to the French people in the chat. And the Canadians. I think you guys are like grouped in there, right? How many people can I offend at once? Let's find out. I'm international. He has the range. Switch accents every second, like each sentence in a new accent. Poison, if you're French, we have bigger fish to fry because that's a problem. But I hate to hear that. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. If you're French, I love you. There's nothing wrong with being French. Do a British accent then. I can't do a British accent for this because Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl is like super American and oh my god, wait a second. Hold on. Did I just say something completely untrue? Wait a second. He's super American. He's not fucking American at all, is he? He's a British author. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm saying falsehoods in the chat. I'm sorry, everyone. Hi, Amy. Welcome. I'm doing bad accents right now, so nothing spooky happening yet. I could do. It's not a lie if a Butch said it. You know what? I'm sticking to that. Why is Vi crying? Is it because I'm telling lies? Is it because I'm like, Roald Dahl is so American and he is straight up not? I could do British. I don't know if I want to though. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take a really quick break and get some fresh beverages, and then I'll come back. And jury's out on if I'm going to do British, but I will read it. Vi needs Cody's British accent. No. Here's the thing, though. If you do a British accent, it is no longer Vi. Oh, you're saying like the crying emoji needs Cody's British accent. I see, I see, I see. I will not do Australian. I can't. Oh my god. I can say I no, I can't. Australians, it's not good. It's like if an Australian wants to do an Australian accent, they're more than welcome to it, but I just feel like that would be offensive. Yeah, yeah. See, we've got Australians in the chat. Cannot do it. And see, Chloe's gonna leave the stream if I do it. I can't do it, you guys. Wara instead of water? Is that as simple as it is? I can't. Somebody, if I can't. Okay, hold on. No, I really can't. I'm like trying to like say these in my head. Okay. Please hold. I do actually need to get like drink refills for my throat. Stand by. I just got back. I'm gonna go tell Sloan that you guys say hi. Watch. I think so. Do you guys want Sloan to come say hi? Sloan's gonna come say hi. Also, there's like a little bit of a.
Let me stop.
No, you're good. There's just like a little bit of delay. Yes, this is yes. Please.
Hi, chat.
Sloan is waving, even though you guys can't see them because they're the cutest person ever.
Have fun with my baby.
The crowd goes wild, indeed. Fan fave, right here. Femme of all time. They're waving back.
You guys are so sweet. Well, have fun.
I will. Bye.
Don't get too scared.
Okay. I love you.
Love you.
That was fun. Real Sloan moments. Sloan moments in history. I would say in her story, but neither of us are women, so neither of us use she, her pronouns, so. All right. Are we ready for this? Oh my god. A part 2 of making a case. That is like That is like such a deep cut. I know, I know, I know. It's like, believe me, every like once a month, we're like, oh my god, we like totally forgot about making a case, and we need to like get that second part out there. We have plans for it. We've got, I think, 3 parts planned. Um, but yeah, we just haven't like really taken the time. We haven't like made the time. We could, now that I know that one person wants to watch it or listen to it. We will definitely do it. We also have don't tell anybody I told you this, but there is a script that I found that is like a 2-person speaker script that we have talked about doing. The logistics are kind of difficult just because like 2 people would listen, 3 people would listen. Okay, that's everybody will listen to it. All right, it's good enough for me. I'll let them know. I'll let them know that they want it, or that the people want it. Yeah, but we have a script that we were looking at doing. It's just the logistics of recording with both of us in the same closet is difficult, and I think that it would be one of those things where it would be easier for us to play off of each other than like reading independently, because like doing solo audios is like not really Sloane's thing. Praise to Edamame. That's gonna haunt me. But it's really funny. 2,500K. No, I see poison. Hang on, I'm gonna change that. But yeah, so so yeah, it's there. We have talked about it, if that helps. We have the desire to do a couple of audios together. We just have not like. It's just with everything I've been doing in recent months, and I don't know. It's just like has not been tip-top priority, you understand. But free them from the closet. Listen, we were both so out of the closet. That's the thing, is we don't want to go back into the closet. Free Sloane from the closet. Well, what about me? What about Cody and all the time he spends in the closet for all of you people, huh? When are we going to talk about that? Because this conversation has been about Sloane not being in the closet, and that's why we haven't been making these audios. So, food for thought. Oh, I can stay in the closet. Thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna be. I did not independently say praise to edamame. I just read somebody else saying praise to edamame. Honestly, either way though, yeah, the cult has been started for sure. Yeah, no, I get it. I see how it is. No, I see how it is. You guys would rather me be in the closet than go without your ButchCody audios, and you know what? That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for all of you people. Yeah, I gotta smash my peaches, everybody. I know. I know you love me. And I do. I love all of you. Very sincerely. But I still have to stay in the closet. All right, great. Okay, fine. Fine. Nobody's gonna free me from the closet. I get it. I get it. No, it's fine. Yeah, I'll just take one for the team, you guys. That's what I do. I would say it's the Butch way, but I'm not about the self-sacrificial Butch. So it's just the me way. All the other Butches should go free and escape the closet. All right, we've got some scories, some scary stories to tell. You're very welcome. Taking hits for the community left and right. So true. So true. Okay, you guys, stop being so entertaining. I can't look at the chat anymore. I'm still looking at the chat. Oh my god. Okay, you can't ask me about you can't ask me about throne things. Don't worry. Okay, okay. I don't know if I have recently updated my throne. Don't worry about the mic. If I have a mic on there, I have recently gotten a new mic, and I love it. It's a great mic. I don't need. I can't even remember what I put on my throne. So do not purchase anything for my throne at the moment. It is not yet updated. By the way, what you got me just recently arrived. There was some issue with the shipping and the seller on Etsy, but thank you for that. I will probably post pictures at some point. I know. I need to update my throne. It's hard. It's hard to update my throne because I genuinely, if you ask Sloan, I am so bad at thinking of things that I want. Like it is like pulling fucking teeth. I'm just like, I don't know. Me getting something for myself? Why would I do that? So I'm working on it. It is a challenge and a half. But I am perseverant, and I'll update my throne. I will. I promise. All right. But I have my essentials. I don't know, like I don't know what else to. I just like I can't even think, now that I have, I mean, but that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm sitting here like, oh, I could use a new computer because if I'm going to be doing streaming more often, like I'm going to need something better than my poor MacBook Air that has 2 plugins. It needs more than that. But I don't want to put a fucking like laptop on my throne. I can't let you guys buy me a laptop. Like it's just like I cannot in good conscience like ask for something like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just hard. It's just hard. Oh my god, I don't want to be selfish. You can't tell me this. It's hard. It is just like really hard to, I don't know. It's like I will save my money and I will get it for myself. Gabby, do not tell me to put a PC. I'm already sitting here being like, there's no way I can put a laptop on there. I'm definitely not putting a PC on there. I can't let you buy me a laptop. You guys. Oh my god. This is spiraling so quickly out of control. Oh my lord. I will think about it. I will think about it. You want me to become a gamer? Why would you wish that on me? Why would you say such a terrible thing? I'm such a good person. Why I can't be a gamer? I'm just kidding. There's nothing wrong with gamers. I could put accessories for it. Okay. All right. Mags, I think you being evil and nasty are some of your best qualities. No, we're not buying Cody a laptop. We're not doing that. Oh my god. You guys are so silly. You are the silliest gooses. You cannot give me an Alienware. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've already gotten Sloan an Alienware laptop, but that's theirs, and it is also like loud as hell. It's like it sounds like a rocket ship taking off every time it turns on. So I don't know how I would even stream with that because the desk that we have is like really old and fucky, and so it doesn't have any edges that can have a like a mic boom arm attached to it. So I can't even like move the mic away from the laptop in order to game on the laptop. Get Sloan out of the closet and buy Cody a laptop. 2025. that's the campaign slogan. We'll get a better one then. Well, listen, I didn't spend an insignificant amount on this laptop. Okay, so I mean maybe I just didn't get a good one, but I thought I got a good one. It cost as much as a good one should, as far as I thought. But I'm talking about like a laptop to process my audios better. This is not necessarily for a gaming laptop. I can figure out I can figure out the gaming like sitch potentially on my PlayStation, or I don't know, maybe I could just get a different mic stand that goes on the floor or something. You heard from a tech guy there is no good gaming laptop. Awesome. That's awesome. I wish I'd known that a couple years ago. The acronym is CABCAL 2025. That really rolls off the tongue. I think that's going to work out great. Put that on stickers, put it on pins. Yeah. It's going to work. The PlayStation. Mags, what does that mean? What's the ellipsis? The PlayStation. See, Hi, Pluvy Dreamer, hello. Welcome. I'm being bullied by the chat. See, I've heard about people custom building their PCs, but that sounds so stressful to me. I am so G-Soot Cabal. I think that works great. I am like such an overthinker. I feel like building a PC is maybe one of the worst things I could do for my poor little overworked brain. Poison, we're not crowdsourcing a gaming PC. You are bullying me. You are. It's true. This is against my will. I don't want to be given anything. I've got more into fucking my computer, just kind of operation, board game meets Legos. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, that sounds like a nightmare. So if I could hire somebody to come build a gaming PC, maybe we could think about it. I know you can order the part, but how do you know which parts to order? That's my problem. And I know you can just research it, but if you guys know anything about me, I have like lost sleep over figuring out what mic to try. And that's pre-built. So you understand that thinking about all the different pieces and parts and etc. that would make a good PC would be a lot. I know I can research. That's what I'm saying. I do research, but I get so, like, okay, let me put it this way. Sloan is not going to thank any of you if I get into researching building my own PC. They are going to come after each and every single one of you because they are going to be the one fielding all of my stress and all of my being like, well, what about this motherboard? But this Reddit says this motherboard is the one to go with, but this other Reddit thread said that motherboard is the worst motherboard you could possibly get and you should kill yourself if you try to get it, and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's... I'm getting stressed. I'm getting new grays. This is what I'm talking about, you guys. This is the side of Cody that is not readily available to the public. I just get my brain can often be the nexus torment, the torment nexus that everyone talks about so much. Pluvy, I did tell Sloan that you guys say hi. You actually just missed them. They came and said hi to the chat. But if you rewatch the stream, you'll be able to see that part or listen to that part. What's HBP? High blood pressure? I probably already have that. I'm old. I'm like 50. No, see, if we go back to the laptop, then I'm like, but you guys said the laptops are bad. Who am I gonna get to build it for me? 33 is the new 50. You heard it here first, folks. Sloan is not going to build my PC for me. That makes sense with laptops just being get quickly outdated. I mean, it's a decent laptop. It's run things just fine. It's just noisy. It just like it's really fast, but it's not good for streaming because of the rocket motor attached to it. Okay, I hope everybody's ready to build a PC for me. I'll cross a border. I'll cross any border you want. I don't know when Sloan got roped into this. Poor Sloan. I'm not going to tell them that you guys are insisting that they build me a PC. That's not happening. I build things for them, not the other way around. Okay, should we get back to what we're all here for, which is a scary story reading? Yes or no? Do we still want one more? Bye, Mags. Sorry. I hope you get feeling better. Thanks for being here. No, you're in the wrong spot. This is not the gift things to nice people stream. you took a wrong turn somewhere. All right. We're going to read The Landlady by Roald Dahl, who is not American. Here we go. Billy Weaver had traveled down from London on the slow afternoon train, with a change at Swindon on the way, and by the time he got to Bath, it was about 9 o'clock in the evening, and the moon was coming up out of a clear, starry sky over the houses opposite the station entrance. But the air was deadly cold, and the wind was like a flat blade of ice on his cheeks. "Excuse me," he said, "but is there a fairly cheap hotel not too far away from here?" "Try the Bell and Dragon," the porter answered, pointing down the road. "They might take you in. It's about a quarter of a mile along on the other side." Billy thanked him and picked up his suitcase and set out to walk the quarter mile to the Bell and Dragon. He had never been to Bath before. He didn't know anyone who lived there, but Mr. Greenslade at the head office in London had told him it was a splendid city. "Find your own lodgings," he had said, "and then go along and report to the branch manager as soon as you've got yourself settled." Billy was 17 years old. He was wearing a new navy blue overcoat, a new brown trilby hat, and a new original incel, possibly, and a new brown suit, and he was feeling fine. He walked briskly down the street. He was trying to do everything briskly these days. Briskness, he had decided, was the one common characteristic of all successful businessmen. The big shots up at head office were absolutely fantastically brisk all the time. They were amazing. There were no shops on this wide street that he was walking along, only a line of tall houses on each side, all of them identical. They had porches and pillars and 4 or 5 steps going up to their front doors, and it was obvious that once upon a time they had been very swanky residences. But now, even in the darkness, he could see that the paint was peeling from the woodwork on their doors and windows, and that the handsome white facades were cracked and blotchy from neglect. Suddenly, in a downstairs window that was Suddenly, in a downstairs window that was brilliantly illuminated by a street lamp not 6 yards away, Billy caught sight of a printed notice propped up against the glass in one of the upper panes. It said, "Bed and breakfast." There was a vase of yellow chrysanthemums. Oh my god, yellow. That's bad. Tall and beautiful, standing just underneath the notice. He stopped walking. He moved a bit closer. Green curtains, some sort of velvety material, were hanging down on either side of the window. The chrysanthemums looked wonderful beside them. He went right up and peered through the glass into the room, and the first thing he saw was a bright fire burning in the hearth. On the carpet in front of the fire, a pretty little dachshund was curled up asleep with its nose tucked into its belly. The room itself, so far as he could see in the half-darkness, was filled with pleasant furniture. There was a baby grand piano, and a big sofa, and several plump armchairs, and in one corner he spotted a large parrot in a cage. Animals were usually a good sign in a place like this, Billy told himself, and all in all it looked to him as though it would be a pretty decent house to stay in. Certainly it would be more comfortable than the Bell and Dragon. On the other hand, a pub would be more congenial than a boarding house. There would be beer and darts in the evenings and lots of people to talk to, and it would probably be a good bit cheaper, too. He had stayed a couple of nights in a pub once before, and he had liked it. He had never stayed in any boarding houses, and to be perfectly honest, he was a tiny bit frightened of them. The name itself conjured up images of watery cabbage, rapacious landladies, and a powerful smell of kippers in the living room. After dithering about like this in the cold for 2 or 3 minutes, Billy decided that he would walk on and take a look at the Bell and Dragon before making up his mind. He is just like me for real. I always have to check before deciding on something. He turned to go, and now a queer thing happened to him. He was in the act of stepping back and turning away from the window when all at once his eye was caught and held in the most peculiar manner by the small notice that was there. Bed and breakfast, it said. Bed and breakfast, bed and breakfast, bed and breakfast. Each word was like a large black eye staring at him through the glass, holding him, compelling him, forcing him to stay where he was and not to walk away from that house. And the next thing he knew, he was actually moving across from the window to the front door of the house, climbing the steps that led up to it, and reaching for the bell. He pressed the bell. Far away in a back room, he heard it ringing, and then it must have been at once, because he hadn't even had time to take his finger from the bell button. The door swung open, and a woman was standing there. Normally, you ring the bell, and you have at least half a minute's wait before the door opens, but this dame was like a jack-in-the-box. He pressed the bell, and out she popped. It made him jump. She was about 45 or 50 years old, and the moment she saw him, she gave him a warm, welcoming smile. "Please come in," she said pleasantly. She stepped aside, holding the door wide open, and Billy found himself automatically starting forward into the house. The compulsion, or more accurately, the desire to follow after her into the house was extraordinarily strong. "I saw the notice in the window," he said, holding himself back. "Yes, I know." "I was wondering about a room." "It's all ready for you, my dear," she said. She had a round pink face and very gentle blue eyes. "I was on my way to the Bell and Dragon," Billy told her, "but the notice in your window just happened to catch my eye." "My dear boy," she said, "why don't you come in out of the cold?" "How much do you charge?" 5 and 6 pence a night, including breakfast. It was fantastically cheap. It was less than half of what he had been willing to pay. "If that is too much," she added, "then perhaps I can reduce it just a tiny bit. Do you desire an egg for breakfast? Eggs are expensive at the moment. It would be 6 pence less without the egg." 5 and 6 pence is fine," he answered. "I should like very much to stay here." "I knew you would. Do come in." She seemed terribly nice. She looked exactly like the mother of one's best school friend welcoming one into the house to stay for the Christmas holidays. Billy took off his hat and stepped over the threshold. "Just hang it there," she said, "and let me help you with your coat." There were no other hats or coats in the hall. There were no umbrellas, no walking sticks, nothing. "We have it all to ourselves," she said, smiling at him over her shoulder as she led the way upstairs. "You see, it isn't very often I have the pleasure of taking a visitor into my little nest." The old girl is slightly dotty, Billy told himself, but at 5 and 6 pence a night, who gives a damn about that? "I should have thought you'd be simply swamped with the applicants," he said politely. "Oh, I am, my dear, I am. Of course I am. But the trouble is that I'm inclined to be just teeny-weeny bit choosy in particular, if you see what I mean." Yes. But I'm always ready. Everything is always ready, day and night in this house, just on the off chance that an acceptable young gentleman will come along. And it is such a great pleasure, my dear, such a very great pleasure when now and again I open the door and I see someone standing there who is just exactly right." She was halfway up the stairs, and she paused with one hand on the stair rail, turning her head and smiling down at him with pale lips. "Like you," she added, and her blue eyes traveled slowly all the way down the length of Billy's body to his feet and then up again. On the first floor landing, she said to him, "This floor is mine." They climbed up a second flight. "And this one is all yours," she said. "Here's your room. I do hope you'll like it." She took him into a small but charming front bedroom, switching on the light as she went in. "The morning sun comes right in the window, Mr. Perkins. It is Mr. Perkins, isn't it?" "No," he said, "it's Weaver." "Mr. Weaver. How nice. I've put a water bottle between the sheets to air them out, Mr. Weaver. It's such a comfort to have a hot water bottle with a strange bed with clean sheets, don't you agree? And you may light the gas fire any time if you feel chilly." "Thank you," Billy said. "Thank you ever so much." He noticed that the bedspread had been taken off the bed, and that the bedclothes had been neatly turned back on one side, all ready for someone to get in. "I'm so glad you appeared," she said, looking earnestly into his face. "I was beginning to get worried." "That's all right," Billy answered brightly. "You mustn't worry about me." He put his suitcase on the chair and started to open it. "And what about supper, my dear? Did you manage to get anything to eat before you came here?" "I'm not a bit hungry, thank you," he said. "I think I'll just go to bed as soon as possible because tomorrow I've got to get up rather early and report to the office." "Very well, then. I'll leave you now so that you can unpack. But before you go to bed, would you be kind enough to pop into the sitting room on the ground floor and sign the book? Everyone has to do that because it's the law of the land, and we don't want to go breaking any laws at this stage of the proceedings, do we?" She gave him a little wave of the hand and went quickly out of the room and closed the door. Now, the fact that his landlady appeared to be slightly off her rocker didn't worry Billy in the least. After all, she was not only harmless, there was no question about that, but she was also quite obviously a kind and generous soul. He guessed that she had probably lost a son in the war or something like that and had never got over it. So a few minutes later, after unpacking his suitcase and washing his hands, he trotted downstairs to the ground floor and entered the living room. His landlady wasn't there, but the fire was glowing in the hearth, and the little dachshund was still sleeping in front of it. The room was wonderfully warm and cozy. "I'm a lucky fellow," he thought, rubbing his hands. "This is a bit of all right." He found the guest book lying open on the piano, so he took out the pen and wrote down his name and address. There were only 2 other entries above his on the page, and as one always does with guest books, he started to read them. One was a Christopher Mulholland from Cardiff. The other was a Gregory W. Temple from Bristol. "That's funny," he thought suddenly. "Christopher Mulholland. It rings a bell. Now, where on earth had he heard that rather unusual name before? Was he a boy at school? No. Perhaps it was one of his sister's numerous young men, perhaps, or a friend of his father's. No, it wasn't any of those. He glanced down again at the book. Christopher Mulholland, 231 Cathedral Road, Cardiff. Gregory W. Temple, 27 Sycamore Drive, Bristol. As a matter of fact, now that he came to think of it, he wasn't at all sure that the second name didn't have almost as much of a familiar ring about it as the first. Gregory Temple, he said aloud, searching his memory. Christopher Mulholland? Such charming boys, a voice behind him answered, and he turned and saw his landlady sailing into the room with a large silver tea tray in her hands. She was holding it well out in front of her and rather high up, as though the tray were a pair of reins on a frisky horse. "They sound somehow familiar," he said. "They do. How interesting. I'm almost positive I've heard those names before somewhere. Isn't that queer? Maybe it was in the newspapers. They weren't famous in any way, were they? I mean, famous cricketers or footballers or something like that." "Famous," she said, setting the tea tray down on the low table in front of the sofa. "Oh, no, I don't think they were famous. But they were extraordinarily handsome, both of them, I can promise you that. They were tall and young and handsome, my dear, just exactly like you." Once more, Billy glanced down at the book. "Look here," he said, noticing the dates. "This last entry is over 2 years old." "Is it?" "Yes, indeed. And Christopher Mulholland is nearly a year before that, more than 3 years ago." "Dear me," she said, shaking her head and heaving a dainty little sigh. "I would never have thought it. How time flies away from us all, doesn't it, Mr. Wilkins?" "It's Weaver," Billy said. Weaver. "Oh, of course it is," she cried, sitting down on the sofa. "How silly of me. I do apologize. In one ear and out the other. That's me, Mr. Weaver." "You know something," Billy said. "Something that's really quite extraordinary about all this." "No, dear, I don't." "Well, you see, both of these names, Mulholland and Temple, I not only seem to remember each one of them separately, so to speak, but somehow or the other, in some peculiar way, they both appear to be sort of connected together as well, as though they were both famous for the same sort of thing, if you see what I mean, like Dempsey and Tunney, for example, or Churchill and Roosevelt." "How amusing," she said. "But come over here now, dear, and sit down beside me on the sofa, and I'll give you a nice cup of tea and a ginger biscuit before you go to bed." "You really shouldn't bother," Billy said. "I didn't mean you to do anything like that." He stood by the piano, watching her as she fussed about with the cups and saucers. He noticed that she had small, white, quickly moving hands and red fingernails. "I'm almost positive it was in the newspapers I saw them," Billy said. "I'll think of it in a second. I'm sure I will." There's nothing more tantalizing than a thing like this which lingers just outside the borders of one's memory. He hated to give up. "Now, wait a minute," he said. "Wait just a minute. Mulholland. Christopher Mulholland. Wasn't that the name of the Eton schoolboy who was on a walking tour through the West Country and then all of a sudden—" "Milk?" she said. "And sugar?" "Yes, please. And then all of a sudden, Eton schoolboy," she said. "Oh no, my dear, that can't possibly be right, because my Mr. Holland was certainly not an Eton schoolboy when he came to me. He was a Cambridge undergraduate. Come over here now and sit next to me and warm yourself in front of this lovely fire. Come on, your tea's all ready for you." She patted the empty place beside her on the sofa, and she sat there smiling at Billy and waiting for him to come over. He crossed the room slowly and sat down on the edge of the sofa. She placed his teacup on the table in front of him. "There we are," she said. "How nice and cozy this is, isn't it?" Billy started sipping his tea. She did the same. For half a minute or so, neither of them spoke. But Billy knew that she was looking at him. Her body was half turned towards him, and he could feel her eyes resting on his face, watching him over the rim of her teacup. Now and again, he caught a whiff of a peculiar smell that seemed to emanate directly from her person. It was not in the least unpleasant, and it reminded him, well, he wasn't quite sure what it reminded him of. Pickled walnuts? New leather? Or was it the corridors of a hospital? "Mr. Mulholland was a great one for his tea," she said at length. "Never in my life have I seen anyone drink as much tea as dear, sweet Mr. Mulholland." "I suppose he left fairly recently," Billy said. He was still puzzling his head about the two names. He was positive now that he had seen them in the newspapers, in the headlines. "Left?" she said, arching her brows. "But, my dear boy, he never left. He's still here. Mr. Temple is also here. They're on the third floor, both of them together." Billy set down his cup slowly on the table and stared at his landlady. She smiled back at him, and then she put out one of her white hands and patted him comfortingly on the knee. "How old are you, my dear?" she asked. 17. 17! She cried. "Oh, it's the perfect age. Mr. Mulholland was also 17, but I think he was a trifle shorter than you are. In fact, I'm quite sure he was, and his teeth weren't quite so white. You have the most beautiful teeth, Mr. Weaver. Did you know that?" "They're not as good as they look," Billy said. "They've got simply masses of fillings in them in the back." Oh, sorry, he said that. "They've got simply masses of filling of them at the back. Mr. Temple, of course, was a little older," she said, ignoring his remark. "He was actually 28, and yet I never would have guessed it if he hadn't told me. Never in my whole life there wasn't a blemish on his body." "A what?" Billy said. "His skin was just like a baby's." There was a pause. Billy picked up his teacup and took another sip of his tea. Then he set it down again gently in his saucer. He waited for her to say something else, but she seemed to have lapsed into another one of her silences. He sat there, staring straight ahead of him into the far corner of the room, biting his lower lip. "That parrot," he said at last. "You know something? It had me completely fooled when I first saw it through the window from the street. I could have sworn it was alive. Alas, no longer. It's most terribly clever the way it's been done," he said. "It doesn't look in the least bit dead. Who did it?" "I did." "You did?" "Of course," she said. "And have you met my little Basil as well?" She nodded towards the dachshund curled up so comfortably in front of the fire. Billy looked at it, and suddenly he realized that this animal had all this time been just as silent and motionless as the parrot. He put out a hand and touched it gently on the top of its back. The back was hard and cold, and when he pushed the hair to one side of his fingers, he could see the skin underneath, grayish-black and dry and perfectly preserved. "Goodness gracious me," he said. "How absolutely fascinating." He turned away from the dog and stared with deep admiration at the little woman beside him on the sofa. It must be the most awfully difficult thing to do a thing like that." "Not in the least," she said. "I stuff all my little pets myself when they pass away. Will you have another cup of tea?" "No, thank you," Billy said. The tea tasted faintly of bitter almonds, and he didn't much care for it. "You did sign the book, didn't you?" "Oh, yes." "That's good. Because later on, if I happen to forget what you were called, then I can always come down here and look it up. I still do that almost every day with Mr. Mulholland and Mr. Temple," Billy said. "Gregory Temple. Excuse my asking, but haven't there been any other guests here except them in the last 2 or 3 years?" Holding her teacup high in one hand, inclining her head slightly to the left, she looked up at him out of the corners of her eyes and gave him another gentle little smile. "No, my dear," she said. "Only you." The end. Spooky! Spooky shit! No sense of self-preservation. That boy, I'm sorry, Billy, but you kind of had it coming. enough tea, Billy. Oh my god, you guys are cracking me up. I know, the dog. Uh, no, we know if he died. He did. I wasn't getting spooked. I actually think I've read that one before. As I was reading through it, I was like, I think I remember something about this dachshund. Like when he saw the dachshund in front of the fire, I was like, wait a second. I think the dachshund is dead. But yeah, Billy's kind of dumb. Someone brought up Omegaverse. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm scrolling. Death Note Billy, no. Okay, I was gonna make a fucking joke about my age. I was gonna say like 45 to 50 years old, just like me for real. Damn, you guys are like so active in the chat. Um, Wait, I can't see any of the Omegaverse stuff. You guys were active. Oh my god, I just almost fucking choked on my tea over the queer happenings. I love when queer things happen to me. Queer does mean curious or strange, in like old timey British speak. Okay, I'm seeing Death Note. Where's Omegaverse? Where's Omegaverse? It's so queer. Sorry, this is probably not entertaining for me to just like read the chat. Tea is queer too. No, the faint taste of almonds is actually arsenic. It's not chloroform. Okay, I don't know. I couldn't find the Omegaverse stuff. Pheromones. Oh, the pheromones. I got it. She was the Omegaverse we made along the way, perhaps. Gabby, you know what? I think I have become braver. I was actually just telling Sloan when I took a little break that I am not like getting as scared as I thought I would be. So, thanks everybody for making me braver. Oh, you cannot call Billy a little Omega boy. Do not look at any of my messages. You know what? I think I'm gonna look at your messages more. Are you surprised that I'm desperately looking for Omegaverse? Because if you are, why? Arsenic. Or cyanide. Is it cyanide? It might be cyanide. It's too late. Straw baby femme. It's too late. You know this chat is like on, it's on this video and it's gonna be recorded forever, right? Everybody is going to see. Omegaverse horror, there's no such thing. You guys, I recorded an Omegaverse audio last night. How do you feel about that? Yeah, once you go Omegaverse, there's no going back. And it's a different Omega universe. Omegaverse universe. Cyanide, dang it. I was so close. I kind of know my poisons. yeah, so I'm starting a new Omegaverse series. Sorry. Um, I don't know how long it's going to go for. It's gonna be interesting. I am actually pretty excited about it. It kind of came to me, and I was actually listening to a different audio, and you guys will not ever find out which one it was. Um, but I felt inspired by that, and yeah, so I took off running. I did kind of base it on one of my other Omegaverse audios, but even if you figure out, I'm not gonna say which one it is because it's like it's linked to that universe, but the speaker characters are different. So do with that what you will. Um, yeah. So that'll probably be coming out in the next, well, just depending. It will probably be one of the next audios I post once I get my Halloween audios all out and done. Um. Oh, what the hell? My chat is not automatically scrolling, so I thought that everybody had stopped talking, and I was like, oh, do you guys hate me? Oh, we're talking about poisons. Oh my god, I'm missing out on the chat. No, no, no. Okay, so so the only Chloe, I'm gonna tell you exactly how to get into Omegaverse. Okay, you're gonna go to my page on Reddit, and you're going to find, um, you're gonna find the audio titled "Not Now," and you're gonna click on that audio, and you're going to look at my little list of the series, and you're gonna go to part 1, and you're going to listen to the whole thing all the way through, and everything you need to know about Omegaverse is in that series. That's everything you need to know, and and genuinely do not source your Omegaverse knowledge from anywhere else because it's not as fun elsewhere. You don't know how it works. I actually don't think I can say it on chat because this is going on YouTube, and it's fairly beginner friendly. It's it's not like a tutorial by any means, but the dynamics get explained in the midst of the narrative. So yeah, just you just gotta go see for yourself, because I really can't like even point you in a good direction for like informing yourself about Omegaverse. Um, yeah, I would love to. I would absolutely love to, because I could talk about it for a while, but I think that this is probably not the place for it. Oh yeah, if there's a YouTuber, how do they do that? How do they explain all the basics of Omegaverse on? Wait, okay, so is it allowed? Hold on. Butch Paratrix, talk to me. How do they explain it? Because if there's ways for me to get around the like the NSFW-ness of it, I will do it. College papers need to be written about Omegaverse, and they have, and it's called fanfiction. I probably would be surprised at how much NSFW stuff is on YouTube, but I am also very scared of getting censored and having my channel taken down, so 16 hours minimum I can do. Yeah, minimum. She talked about Slick? Damn. Yeah, I don't know, Poison. Yeah, drop her in the chat. Well, you won't snitch, but YouTube will. um BitXPJT. I don't know how to say your username. I'm sorry. Yeah, I probably will. I don't know. This was fun. I had a good time streaming. Maybe make Sunday streams a thing, if that would be amicable. I would just have to figure out what else I would talk about, because a lot of this was me reading. So yeah, don't put it in the chat, please, because what's in the chat is also going to be on the YouTube video because I am sharing that on the screen. So we probably won't go any further than that in that discussion. I mean, the chat has been busy, so you're right. You guys could probably keep things going, but also we need like some poor boy being murdered via cyanide to start talking about Omegaverse. Apparently, honestly, Omegaverse is so fucking fun. It's so fucking cool. It's just like a really fun way to explore. For me, I feel like Omegaverse is so queer. Like, it's so gender fucky in so many ways, and like the social dynamics and stuff are so just delicious. Obviously, like I am a big fan. There's a reason I've been keeping up with my my Omegaverse series for so long. Somebody asked if the ongoing one is over. It's not over. It is so not Jover. I just had like a wild hair last night to record a second part for a different Omegaverse audio that I have, and that is going to be a new series, but the original series is ongoing, and I just need to get around to doing that one. I've just been kind of hung up on doing Halloween relevant stuff for October, and then once November and December come around, I'll have a little bit more like freedom as far as that goes, because I just like to have properly themed stuff, you know, especially for Halloween. I don't know why that feels so important to me to have Halloween themed audios, but I feel like it's something that people want, so I try to give the people what they want, and that's why I stay in the closet for you all. Hi, welcome back, Latriacio1. If you guys have usernames that I actually know you by the way, that are not the same as the ones here, please tell me what they are. Like, if you follow me on Tumblr, if you're in my Discord, if you comment on Reddit and you want to share that username, please put it in here, because I feel like you guys are all gonna... Why are we talking about edamame again? Edamame licking it is definitely going to be remembered. That's gonna get my page taken down. I just know it. I shouldn't have said that out loud. Bearwin, you're so fucking right about Omegaverse. I hate, like, the straight stuff is garbage. All of it is garbage. It's like terrible. Like, I like a lot of stuff that I can't say in the chat. Like where Omegaverse came from is a bad place. But what queer people have made it into is a good place, and that is true for most things historically. So, yeah. I do redacted. That's true. Oh, you don't have to... Plugi, I recognize you. I recognize your username. You do not have to... Don't dox your anon, please. You're totally fine. Mostly just, like, there's, like, a couple of usernames in here that I don't recognize, but I feel like I probably know you elsewhere. So, anyways, if you want to share that. Yeah, there was a huge lawsuit. I don't remember the details, but Lindsay... What's her name? She's a YouTuber. She did a, like, what are they called? Video essays on YouTube about it. And it's crazy. There's like a lot of beef and a lot of drama. And I think the creator of Omegaverse, Lindsay Ellis, yes, I think the creator of Omegaverse came after Lindsay Ellis. I think that is what that's what her video essay was about. Anyways, wild shit. If you ever want to look it up, Lindsay Ellis on YouTube gets all into it. Call me when you can. Okay, okay, okay. I know you. Hi. Hello. Okay, good. I'm glad to be connecting the pieces. And no worries to anybody who doesn't want to like say their user from a different platform, just if you wanted to. That's all. Gabby, I would recognize you anywhere, and that's okay. That's a good thing. That's called brand uh uh I don't know, something something about branding and marketing to have the same user everywhere is a good thing. Biscotti Land on Reddit, hello. Okay, this is exciting. Yeah, dude. I recognize honestly I do. I always recognize usernames. Like people are always so surprised when I'm like, hey, like, you know, like people from Reddit coming over and commenting on YouTube and having the same username and me being like, hey, it's good to see you over here. Like, brand continuity. Thank you. Thank you. But yes, I remember like all of you guys, all of my audience. Wait, who is being brave? Well, I'm proud of you for talking today. Good job, Straw Baby Femme. I thought I recognized your username as well, but I think because I hadn't like heard from you, I wasn't sure. You guys are so cute. Where, when, how, what? You should change all your users to the same, so that I specifically don't get confused. That's my opinion. Um, Straw Baby, I think you are well past being perceived. You've kind of created a edamame cult, and that's not ever gonna go away. Bidex PJT, I feel like I recognize your PFP, and I can't place it, and it's driving me crazy. Okay, I I have a Discord. I do have a Discord, but it's members only because I think this is the third time I'm saying this. It's members only because I don't have the bandwidth to mod a public server at the moment. So, but I tried though. Okay, yes, thank you. The pieces are coming together. I appreciate that. I know. I the Discord thing was a cause of a lot of heartache. You guys have heard what I get like when I think about building my own PC. It gets way worse when I think about like tending to my audience. But I I had to think about it a lot, and just for my own well-being and the well-being of my mod who volunteered and gets like nothing out of it, entirely doing it out of the goodness of his heart. I just like had to be mindful of that. But that may change in the future. We'll see. And Discord, yeah, and Discord can get like gnarly. It's not a super big community. It's really, yeah. Shout out Batman Matt. He is the best. Um, it's not a huge community. They're all lovely people. It's like a nice, quiet little space, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. Um, Steadily growing, but it's yeah, it's a nice small spot and easily moderated, and can't complain about that. Yeah, I got Batman to be my mod. Isn't that amazing? If you get merch for your birthday, I hope you love it. I'm pretty proud of the designs. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope everybody sees the stuff and tells you that you're so cool for having it. Yeah, Discord can be so overwhelming, but honestly, it's like it is kind of just like this. Like I haven't been super active just because there's been some IRL stuff that's been keeping me busy. So it kind of ebbs and flows with activity, but generally it's just like pretty chill place. Lots of cat pics, which we love because I can't have a cat, so I live vicariously through all of my Discord members. I did meet Batman through my Spidey credentials. Yes, we met up that way and kicked each other's asses in a back alley and then decided to be friends. And that's why we are constantly bullying each other. So a Cody Nightwing audio. Well, I don't know shit about Nightwing, so you're gonna have to sell me on that one, but we'll see. I don't know anything about comics. My foray into Spider-Man was entirely driven by my gender envy of his character in like the video games of him that I play, and that's it. So shut up. When you get older, when you turn 33, you'll bequeath your ButchCody merch to your brother. That's very sweet. Have it adorning your casket, like a veteran's flag. All good for real. Like use your money wisely. Seriously, it is kind of a nightmare out there right now. So yeah, like you take care of your student loans first. He's just like Spider-Man, but with a booty. What am I supposed to do about what am I supposed to do with that? Like all love, but I don't know how to make Spider-Man with a booty into a totally unique audio series. Oh man, I don't think I could do Deadpool. Deadpool is too funny for me. He's like so quippy and witty. I can do like nice boy, kind of silly with it, Spider-Man vibes, but Deadpool is straight up fucking hilarious, and I tragically don't have that in me. So you gotta get the job. You gotta get the bag first before you worry about exclusive audios. It's all good. Why are they obsessed with his booty? A formidable butt. That's serious. Like is this like a known thing? Why does Deadpool piss people off? I mean, okay, hold on. Whoa. Before we get deep into comic territory, I don't know shit about it. I don't know anything about it. I've seen the first Deadpool movie, and that's it. And that was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. So that is my frame of reference. If Deadpool pisses people off, I don't know about that or why. Um, I did know that he's pansexual canonically, which is cool. And that him and Spider-Man are buddies. I feel like some people ship them. I could do a self-ship audio. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do a self-ship audio. Self-ship as in like me voicing both characters who are into each other. I hope that's clear. Not like actual. I feel like I tried to watch Deadpool too, and I feel like I didn't like it as much. And I heard really bad things about Deadpool and Wolverine. So he's in love with Spider-Man, aren't we all? A little in love with Spider-Man, kind of. You know what? I'm like not even a Spider-Man stan. I'll say that up front. Like I like Spider-Man for gender purposes, and that's it. Cody X Codifer. Yeah. Yep. Me and my evil twin. That's fair. That's fair to not like Deadpool just for a variety of reasons. A Spider-Bit for sure. No, I can't. I can't watch Deadpool and Wolverine. I can't do it. I've seen clips. And I'm not impressed. Oh, Coda for like Lucifer? Is that what we're doing? I thought it was like I don't know. I don't know what I thought it was. Not that. That's hilarious that Nightwing's ass is like a known entity. Nightwing confirmed Butch in that case because why did Butches always have cake? Like Christopher, Codifer, like kind of like Jimothy, like a full Christian name. Night Poison. Oh, you guys, I think I need to wrap this up. we gotta get some time with the femin before it's time to turn in for the night. I'm glad you like the dry humor. Thank you. I know. It's time to go. It was so fun. No, you hang up. Honestly, I'm exercising my willpower to hang up on this conversation because you guys are too entertaining. But thank you, all of you. Seriously, I was very nervous before this, but I have had such a wonderful time. Thank you all for tuning in and for chatting so much, and for generally being a very enjoyable, chaotic, long live edamame. And yeah, let's do it again sometime. I'll like keep an eye on my socials. Tumblr, Reddit are where I post about this stuff the most, and probably will post on YouTube. But yeah, I'll see about doing this again sometime in the not too distant future. Okay, good night, everyone. Love you all. Bye.